Hello, good morning. Welcome to an incisive discussion with analysis and a conversation which will be riveting. My name is Selom. I don't know, we call it the big issue. It's been a very chaotic conclusion to an eventful week. Yesterday, the Electoral Commission concluded its processes of balloting. Indeed, it gave out a list of 13 presidential candidates that have qualified to be on the ballot on December 7. The others, they say, they've been disqualified. They are not taking it lying down. They have threatened to go to court. The Electoral Commission says that they failed to provide some details on their forms. The question is that the best way to approach it? Should they be disqualified, or the EC should have given them some opportunity to rectify the problems or the errors? Some say they were not even told about the errors the EC claimed they had made on their forms. What is the way forward? Why should the EC do that if indeed that is the case? They have threatened to go to court. What does that mean for the calendar or the timetable of the Electoral Commission? NDC picked number 8, MPP number 1. Dr. Bawumia will be number 1 on the ballot, and NDC's John Mahama will be number 8 on the ballot. Of course, Ekuyadonko number 3, and a few others. Independent candidates, Alan Chemate will be the man at Asiel. Cheddar will be number 12, and the list goes on. What do you make of the numbers? Do the numbers even mean anything? How about the chaos that characterized the event? The parties and the EC cannot seem to trust themselves. They cannot even seem to follow simple protocols or simple regulations concerning or regarding the process of balloting. We'll look at all of that this morning. Also, the EC has refused a forensic audit of the, applied for, if you like, by the NDC. They say they do not see any need for it, and that the exhibition exercise was to bring out the issues the NDC identified, and that they are in the process of resolving it. Civil society organizations and some well-meaning people think that the EC should open up a bit and allow for consensus building. They also want the NDC to present the errors they found to the EC. Indeed, the NDC made a presentation, but have not given the data, as it were, to the EC. We'll look at all of that and see where the merits will lie. Also, there's been some renewed fight against Galamsey, renewed fight for the past 2-3 weeks. We'll catch up on that, provide some updates on it, and see if you live in any of those Galamsey areas, let us know what the situation is with your community, whether the water bodies are regenerating or they are getting worse, whether the Galamsey activities are still continuing or there's been some temporary halt. What are you doing as community members to ensure that the continuous pollution of your water and degradation of your environment is stopped? These are the matters we'll be looking at this morning. The show, as always, is live and interactive. You can join us on 0549-986-996 or 020-444-7033, and we'll be glad to share your views with the rest of the world. My name is Selom. I don't know, I take a short break. I'll return, provide updates, introduce my guest, and then we'll get a discussion running. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.3 and also on ChannelOne television. My name is Selom Adonu. This morning we are looking at 2 issues, but the first one has a number of issues rolled up in one. The NDC held the Enough is Enough demonstration in the week to press home their points or their demand for the EC to conduct a forensic audit of the voters' register. The EC says there may be no need for it. The MPP has issued a statement saying the NDC should present their facts or data to the EC. As it stands now, there's nothing before the EC. Yesterday, the EC concluded balloting for various positions on the ballot box and announced that 13 out of the 24 candidates or so persons who filed are qualified. The others disqualified. Significant amongst what happened yesterday was the fact that Dr. Bawumia is number 1 on the ballot, John Dramani Mahama is number 8 on the ballot. And indeed, there's numerology, there are a lot of things people are saying. Number 1 means is victory. Number 1 means he'll be number 1 on the day first. Number 8 means that he is destined to govern Ghana for 8 years, and that he's ending the 8 years of the MPP, and also he has taken the 8 away, so the 8 is unbreakable. And also, NDC has been saying that they want to reset Ghana. Number 8 is a new beginning. That, they say, is the same as reset. And a number of things, we'll hear a lot of them, I'm sure, as the days go on. The EC does not want necessarily to do an audit of the voters' register. Codeo, the IDEG, and the CFI think that the EC should open up a bit and ensure that the matters raised by the NDC are addressed. We'll see how that goes, and we'll try and understand the issues once more on this show. Also, we'll look at the matter of Galamsey. Illegal mining is wreaking a lot of havoc on our environment, and especially water bodies, raising a lot of concerns. There's been some renewed fight in the last few weeks. We will see how that fight is going, and if you live in any of those Galamsey ravaged communities, let's know what you think. All right. Let me provide you some updates. Now, the NDC leadership has presented a petition to Parliament and the Electoral Commission of Ghana addressing concerns about a discredited electoral register ahead of the 2024 general elections. Johnson Asenunkete, the party's national chairman, called for an audit of the register in the presence of international observers and other stakeholders if the Electoral Commission has nothing to hide. The nationwide demonstration demanded greater transparency from the EC to ensure a credible voters register for the December elections. Fred Uho and our regional correspondents together provide or give us the following report.
The biggest opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, today, the 17th of September 2024, is embarking on a massive protest across the entire country. They are doing the same across all 16 regions of Ghana, but here in Accra, mammoth numbers, huge numbers, thousands of protesters, party supporters are on the street, starting from the Obra Spot at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, marching all the way to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. Basically, among their demands is that they want the Electoral Commission to invite them, their technical persons, their IT persons, as well as the IT persons of other political parties for a forensic audit into the database of the EC. Alongside, the national chairman of the party, Johnson Asenunkete, also gave a clear message to the crowd to ensure that they conduct themselves in a very civil manner to register their displeasure and also to do so within the confines of the law.
We are not asking for a favor from the Electoral Commission or Nana Akufo-Addo or Bawumia. We are demanding our right to free and fair elections. So we are warning them. Today is only the beginning. If they think that after the demonstration, everybody will go to sleep, if they don't accede to the request, they are joking.
As usual of most demonstrations I have covered, it is common to see the protesters lie in the middle of the road, preventing the here at Adabraka, the very junction leading to City FM. The message is simple.
All right. So in a dramatic turn of events, however, in the Ashanti region, chaos erupted in Kumasi as police deployed tear gas to disperse NDC supporters who clashed with law enforcement officers during the Enough is Enough demonstration. Our Ashanti regional correspondent, Hafiz Tijani, was there for us.
From the party's office and moved through the principal streets of Kumasi, the peaceful protest featured placards projecting protesters' concerns. However, confrontation erupted between the police and some protesters, leading to to the firing of tear gas. Both protesters and police officers sustained injuries during the clash. Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NDC, Andrew Nanakwesi, claimed he was manhandled by a police officer.
Regional Commander, officially, one of your men, Yeremuno Obomasun, that person must be found.
The party issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Electoral Commission to address the concerns outlined in their petition.
I will recall that in 2009, the deciding vote for the presidential vote was just 49,000 votes. So we will not sit and allow 75,000 votes to slip. So we have given them 7 days ultimatum.
EC officials in the Ashanti region assured that the petition would be forwarded to their superiors.
We want to assure the party that this petition will reach Accra, the commission.
The party also claimed to have evidence of the injuries sustained by protesters during the clash. Some properties of the Electoral Commission were damaged during the confrontation. Several arrested protesters were later released.
All right, so that was some reports from the Ashanti region. Now, back to what happened yesterday. The MPP has secured the first spot on the Electoral Commission's balloting for the upcoming December 7 presidential elections. The main opposition, NDC, drew the 8th position. ChannelOne's Nia Yikwe Okain was there for us, and he reports.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana has officially confirmed 13 candidates for the December 7, 2024 presidential elections following a thorough review of nomination forms submitted between September 9 and 13, 2024. The review ensured all candidates met the legal requirements to run for the presidency.
We had 13 candidates who qualified to contest the 2024 presidential election. And we have Mr. Mahamadou Bawumia of the NPP, Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC, Alan Kojo Tremantin, an independent candidate, Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement, Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Mr. George Chumberi Maidu, an independent candidate, Nana Kwame Bediako, an independent candidate, Mr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress, Mr. Kofi Akpalu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, Ekwe Adonko of the Ghana Freedom Party, Mr. Kofi Kranting, an independent candidate, Nana Akosua Frimpong Kamankama of the Convention People's Party, and Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party.
Among the key contenders are Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, who is serving as the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. He is a banker and economist. Dr. Bawumia has held various influential roles, including Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana and Vice President of Ghana since 2017. He played a pivotal role in the 2012-2013 presidential election petition. Former President John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress has served as President of Ghana from 2012 to 2017 and previously as Vice President. He is seeking another term in office. Nana Kwame Bediako, an independent candidate, is also known as Cheddar. Bediako is a business magnate and founder of the Qualis Group. He is contesting under the banner of the New Force movement. Alan John Kwadwo Tremantin, an independent candidate, is a former trade minister who resigned from the New Patriotic Party after placing third in the party's Superdelegates Congress. He is running as an independent under the Movement for Change. Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement GUM, also known as Osofo Chirabosom, he is a pastor and politician seeking to challenge the dominance of the NPP and NDC. Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, known for his domestication philosophy, Latte ran for president in 2000 and 2004, but was disqualified in 2008. Ekuyadonko of the Ghana Freedom Party is a cocoa farmer without formal education. Ekuyadonko has served as an assemblywoman and previously sought the presidency in 2012, though she was disqualified. Hassan Abdullahi Ayariga of the All People's Congress APC is a businessman and politician. Ayariga founded the APC after leaving the People's National Convention PNC. He is making another bid for the presidency. Kofi Cranton, an independent candidate, is a businessman and former CEO of the Progressive Alliance movement. Cranton was disqualified in 2020 but is running again as an independent. Several candidates were disqualified by the EC for failing to meet the necessary criteria. These include Bernard Mona of the PNC, Janet Nabla of the PNP, and other independent hopefuls.
Mr. Samuel Apiadankwa, independent candidate, was, however, presented with a number of issues to resolve, including not filing a tax certificate for his vice presidential candidate. And then some of his pages were omitted from the form, and he had incomplete particulars for some of his supporters. Unfortunately, though he was provided with the opportunity to correct this, he was unable to do so, and the committee recommended that he be disqualified.
All right, so that was Jean Mensah yesterday, giving us an update on why some candidates or some persons were disqualified and so will not be on the ballot. These candidates are not taking a line. Of course, at least we know for now that a number of them are raising their boots to go to court. Samuel Apiadankwa, the independent candidate, Bernard Mona, Janet Nabla, and a few others we understand are working around the clock to go to court to get their names back or to get their names on the ballot. To help me with the discussion today, Dr. Tanko, Rashid Tanko, Computer, NDC Deputy Director for IT, Kingsley Amakwa-Boedu, MPP Legal Team Directorate Member, Dano Fori-Owusu, National Chairman for the Progressive People's Party, Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa, and will be joined also at some point by Henry Nanabuachi, the MPP National Organizer. So these are my guests for the first segment of the program today, where we look at the EC and matters are rising. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program. I'll start off with you, Doc Computer. So we saw the NDC protest yesterday at the EC regarding the balloting. Why was it so important that the balloting would generate this confusion and controversy? Why was it so much a big deal?
Salam, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers. And then I'm actually the Deputy Director of Elections.
Deputy Director of Elections.
And then IT.
IT, okay.
Yes. Okay, clearly, in fact, let me take this opportunity to thank our General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kuti, and my boss, Dr. Mani Boama, the Director of Elections, for a yeoman's job yesterday. I mean, they were able to expose the behavior of the Electoral Commission, of which we have been talking all along. We've been saying it. Their posture doesn't show that this is an independent body. Clearly, if you look at the procedure, the process is so murky. An Electoral Commission that touts itself as being transparent, being fair, and of course, integrity as their hallmark, shouldn't be engaged in this kind of thing they were trying to do yesterday. Our team was at the helm of affairs, actually showed them and indicated to them that they were not fair in whatever they were doing. The procedure was not fair because you are talking of balls. You brought in balls, 9 of them, for balloting. And ostensibly, one was a bit different from the other 8. It was different. How could that be done? If you are fair to yourself and you want the whole thing to be transparent, as they stated it yesterday, why is it that one of the balls was unique to the others? And then it was clear, they saw it then themselves, realized it, and you could see how they were conferring among themselves, the commissioners and their directors there. Because we pointed it out to them. Our team, in fact, I'll have to congratulate them for seeing those things, especially Dr. Mani Boama, when he saw it and told them, look, what you are doing is not fair.
But
why is it that
the ball is slightly different. We all saw the numbers being put in there, right?
That is why I'm saying that if the ball is slightly different and somebody was going to pick and the person I was fixated
On
to
that
a
ball
particular
and the
ball,
number.
then that means that something under dealing went on somewhere. That is why we resisted in the second round. We're saying that no, why should you do that? Why do we have a thing that we are saying is going to be transparent? We want everybody to have a level playing ground. And yet I was fixated to a particular ball. And that the person wants to see what is in that in the pot before he picks. That is not fair enough. That is not fair enough. And then so that held up the process for a longer period until when it was resolved in a midway, and that the resolution was that, okay, well, if you are coming to pick, don't look in the, they had to move away from the pot into a polythene bag, just to cover the whole thing so that you don't pick, you don't look inside and pick. But still, you saw our opponent. I mean, he came there, stood there for almost 5 minutes. He was looking, ostensibly searching for a ball again. And then, so these things that happened, I mean, well, we look at it and say that, well, God has a way of dealing with issues. Although they managed their way through, we also picked the number that God says, go and break the 8 for us. Go and break it for us.
But do the numbers matter? I mean, where you place on the ballot, it doesn't matter.
What?
We've seen candidates at number 1 lose election. We've seen candidates at the last Asieho lose elections. We've seen candidates in the middle win elections. So does it matter really where a candidate places?
You're right. In 1992, when we were campaigning for Jerry Rawlings, if you look at the ballot paper, Jerry was not number 1, he was not number 2. In fact, he was second to last. The PHP was the last, that was at Asieho. We were before the Asieho people. But we had the highest percentage at that election, 1992. We were forefront in doing all the campaigning. So clearly, yes, numbers don't matter. But you see, the wisdom behind the number 8, don't forget, our opponents were all over the place, breaking the 8. Okay? And they branded their T-shirts, branded vehicles, all over, breaking the 8. And His Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, in an interview with one of the senior KSM, I mean, talked about this 8, how we are going to break the 8. We are going to break the corruption, 8 years of corruption, 8 years of thievery, 8 years of galamsey, messing up the economy, messing up our natural resources. The clip is there. I don't know whether your people can play it. He said it. It's like that was a vision he saw coming, that yes, this 8 that we are talking of is coming to pass. And clearly it showed yesterday. When our General Secretary picked the ball and it was open, it's 8. So clearly it's like God is giving.
The other side could also say that if you are running an election, the one who is first is the one who wins. So I'm first. And incidentally, or coincidentally, I picked number 1 on both occasions, which means that it's been cemented, it's done and dusted. I'm number 1, I'm winning, I'm first in this election.
Then clearly Nanado would have won the 2008 election.
Exactly the point.
And that's what I'm saying. The 8, if you pick number 1, doesn't guarantee your win.
We
have placed several on number 1 position and lost the elections. Okay, it doesn't win you the elections. And I'm saying that even if we are placed the deepest part of the ballot paper, Ghanaians are voting for the umbrella. They virtually will look for the umbrella, the Akatamansu. That is what clearly everybody's looking at. And if you go to the rural community, you will see that everybody's talking of Akatamansu, the umbrella. Everybody's talking about it. And they will definitely look for it because everybody's fed up in the country. And we're looking for a change. There is setting. Number 8 is what? It's a renew. If you look at in numerology, they will tell you 8 is a renew effort. You have a new beginning. Okay? And we've already, if you look at our manifesto, it's about reset. And so how do you renew when you don't reset? And so that is why we are saying that clearly we are going on the path to renew what is going on in the country. Because clearly what is going, if we don't break the 8 and stop this corruption going on, destruction of our forest land. Now you see in fact we'll be talking about it in one of your headlines. You talk about the Galamsey issue, the menace. If we don't stop these people at the 8 and allow them to continue, your guess is as good as mine. And then we were very mindful about the procedure adopted by the Electoral Commission, and that look, they should not be exposing themselves like that. we have talked a lot about their ills, and Ghanaians are even fed up. No, in terms of integrity, they've lost it. They don't have it. The lack of integrity has been taken out from them. We were now trying to manage them with fairness, because as for transparency, zero. Integrity and transparency, they've lost it. It's now left with fairness. At least they should be fair to the procedure, because we know that they don't have any integrity as of now. In terms of transparency, the zero. And so, for fairness, let's try and manage ourselves. And then we are comfortable with the 8. Our General Secretary and our Director of Elections did a fantastic job by making sure that they guarded the process and exposed what was trying to do. Albert, Electoral Commission was bent on doing their own thing. We are comfortable with it. We are comfortable with what has come out, the outcome of it. And as we speak now, our teams are working on it. They are working on the issue of the 8. The campaign has hit the airwaves, it's hit the ground. And I can assure you, Ghanaians are looking for the number 8 position, which is the umbrella. And that is what we are telling the general public. As to what people are talking about, there's no evidence of that nature. We don't want to go into issues of inferior community tactics, where we say that this thing happened or this thing didn't happen. What we know is that the procedure adopted by the Electoral Commission was not fair.
I see.
That was not a fair procedure. Because when we forced them to even change the ball, they brought in a different ball altogether. Still, look at what the Director of Electoral Service was doing on the table. And that's why our General Secretary rose up and told them, it's not fair. What this gentleman is doing is not fair. You saw what Evans Kim Nimako, the Director of Elections, when he was going to pick it. You saw the reaction of our General Secretary. It's not fair.
I see.
And so you cannot continue this process as we move into December 7th.
Very well. Kingsley, you're welcome back from the bar conference. I mean,
thank you very much.
Congrats on a good election.
You can't be congratulating me.
No, I mean. All right. So, I mean,
congratulations to
Yofagati and her team and everything. All right. So let's get to it. I mean, yesterday we saw what happened at the EC. Were you concerned about the fact that the 2 major players plus the EC, for example, could not even undertake a simple process of balloting without an issue? Were you concerned about that? Simple balloting.
Good morning to our viewers and our listeners. Good morning to Mr. Computer. It's the first time meeting you. Good morning to you, to everyone. I think there are issues which are not relevant to the extent that we have an EC. We must respect the position of an EC and what it does. If there's something happening that we are not happy about, we have a right to voice it. So any person out there who voiced a matter out was right to voice it. If there's a need to correct it, it is corrected, we move on. And what happened yesterday, it was successful, we move on. Each one has a number. Remember, MPP picked number 1 twice. If it was just once, then you could say there was something untoward. But it happens that we picked it twice. I've seen some clip going around where there was the exchange of the paper between the Director of Elections and the head of the campaign within the same party. And they are saying there's something untoward has happened. And I think these are red herrings. If indeed the number 1 wasn't picked by us, then who picked number 1? Then who picked number 1?
But I think that the point there is that they knew, or your side knew what they were going for. So the boss, and indeed the matter was raised by Omani Boama, that one of the balls was different from all of them.
And indeed, that ball was changed, wasn't it?
Yes. So, but why should it be different? You know, if you are minded to be fair.
Yes.
And I mean, we saw in the clip that when Evans Makov, the MPP, was going to pick, he was kind of looking for something, and then eventually
he took his time to decide which one to pick.
No, so
That's
he
not
picked
see...
he picked one, he picked the other,
Yes.
and the guy said, no, you have to just pick one.
Yes.
But normally in balloting, you just go pick, because you don't know what is what or which is which. You just pick.
No, he has to decide which one he wants to pick.
No, but you don't. You just pick. You don't.
Yeah,
You don't
but he
look for it.
didn't. Yeah, no, but he has to stand there and decide which one is this one the one to pick, is this the one to pick, and decide and pick. We cannot say that because he took time in picking and therefore he was looking for.
But if you look at the video,
one.
that's how that's what he suggests.
We can put all interpretations on things that happened there. The fact is that the ball, whenever they said was taken out, was changed, all right, and he picked a ball. I mean.
But so for example, I mean, the EC, you know, it may be very trivial, and it may not even matter.
Exactly.
But you see, it adds to a number of things.
That's the point I'm making.
For the EC.
That's the point I'm making.
And that's, the
point I'm making is
affects credibility.
The point I'm making is that we shouldn't put the EC in a position where we have so bastardized everything it does that every minor thing we are now seeking to reinforce how we want to paint the EC.
But I can say, if you are going to do a ballot, and you do the ballot for the purposes of fairness,
yes.
And one of the balls is markedly different.
It was raised. If it was insisted that it should be.
No, but
remain.
it shouldn't be. And there were other balls, so they changed.
Yes.
So you know, it may not be deliberate, but it could be negligent. And they could have been negligent, or they were perhaps negligent in that sense. And that negligence adds to a tall list of other things that people point out to be deliberate on the part of the EC.
But you are saying it could be.
Yes, it could be.
Precisely.
Because I don't know
the
if
point
it's
I'm making
deliberate
is
or
that.
not.
The point I'm making is that let the EC do its job. And secondly, whenever the EC has to be interrogated or an action of the EC has to be interrogated, we should have an EC representative to talk to it. But when you put it to someone who is a player in the game, when the referee has to answer for his things, then you are making the fact that you are making the party a player respond to the EC's issues is in itself creating or reinforcing the idea that the EC, there's something untoward. Because I cannot be speaking on behalf of the EC. But if there was something and an issue is raised and that ball is changed, I think we move on from there. And I can imagine, and I can.
I think the point is that the EC ought to have known, or ought to have spotted the fact that the particular ball.
That's a fair comment.
Was different.
That's a fair comment. But remember, we as a party also, if we see something that the EC is not doing, we have a right to voice it. Just like my brother's party will voice it. When we see that my brother's party has voiced something, or we have voiced something that we think is germane, we will canvass it strongly. It doesn't mean that the EC is on one side. It doesn't mean. And I can imagine normally the position on a ballot box or ballot paper does not mean anything. It is your good works that will promote you. It's your good works that people will consider to vote for you. So anything that has to do with number 1 or number 8 is for marketing purposes. Admittedly, it is easier to market number 1, admittedly, for both parliamentary and presidential. It's easier, it won't change. But for my brother's party number 8, where you have the independent candidates not standing for parliamentary in some areas, it changes.
It will affect the independent, but like
I said that the number 8 will change.
The number 8 will change.
Precisely. So then I can foresee the fact that we have to be creative. NDC, they are creative already. Ghanaians generally are creative. NDC, they are creative already. So I don't see their problem because they can create something that says that when you let me speak to you, number 8, no share in that number 3. It's so easy to do that. So then it is much ado about nothing. But for marketing purposes, maybe. All right. But as the Ghanaians are so creative, so that doesn't really matter. It is the solution we are offering to the Ghanaians. That is what is going to get them to vote. All right. At times we over politicize certain things, then it becomes. It is not this platform. Is not for
Let's deal with the matter of the disqualifications. I mean, 13 out of 24 qualified, the rest disqualified. That's quite a huge number to be disqualified. People think that, and I'll start with you, Doctor. People think that perhaps it is a way of pruning down the numbers. That we don't have any evidence to that. the EC listed a number of infractions, a number of omissions or errors on the forms of those who were disqualified. They have complained. What's your thinking around the disqualification? Too many people running for president, or that's fine? What's your thinking generally around the reasons given by the EC for the disqualification?
Ideally, we would have wished to have a smaller number contesting the presidency. But because of the behavior of this current administration, everybody in Ghana thinks that he can be president.
How? They've made it attractive. Everybody wants to have it.
I'm saying that this government, they have reduced governance to the barest minimum in the sense that...
No, maybe they've made it very attractive, so everybody wants to be a part of it.
Not attractive.
Everybody feels that, oh, presidency is sweet, it's good. I can also do it. I mean, it's a nice thing, honorable, because a lot of respect has been brought to bear on the office.
Salom, the output of this government has made everybody in Ghana think that I can also go and sit at the Flagstaff House and be called a president. That's it. Look at the output, look at what we are seeing, what is going on in this country. If this is what a president can offer to his citizens, anybody at all can walk in. Is that what we
12,000 kilometers of roads? These are good.
I am saying that they are still
delivered.
grappling with all these problems, yet they'll go and bring a researcher to come and tell them that they and the opposition are neck to neck. If you have all these things that they have been banding around, free SHS, whatever, rules, network, agenda, what they call all of these things together, their own research at the Flagstaff House.
But these are tangible things
and I'm saying that clearly that government that you are talking of is clearly can be described as confident tricksters. They are tricking Ghanaians. They themselves know that what they are doing is not right. And so that has allowed everybody who thinks that I am above 41 years and I have the means, I'll go and contest as a president.
Even though I know I will not win.
Of course. Let me also have a shot with it.
But to what end?
When we started the democracy in 1992, we didn't have this kind of thing. We didn't have this. You saw the numbers that went into the 96, the 92 and the 96 elections. We started getting numbers after His Excellency Kufuor left. Then everybody now thinks that. Look at the MPP, their presidential race. They had about 17 people trying to contest.
That's democracy.
And I'm saying that no, you see, they are looking at the leader, the output of the leader. I assess myself inside him. And I think that if this person can be a president, why can't I be a president? Knowing who I am and knowing who he is. Are you getting it? That is the reason why you are having about 20-something people coming to pick nomination and say that they want to be president of Ghana. Because these people have bastardized the presidency. The output is so, we'll say they have debased the presidency to the extent that all manner of persons who think that is 41 years plus and have 100,000 Ghana cedis can just go and pick the form and say, I also want to go and contest. So the Electoral Commission, well, haven't disqualified all these people. I think the right thing was that to give them hearing. Listen to them. Okay, natural justice demands that you listen to them. Let them come, because you said you have identified this. You've given it back to them to correct it. You have not sat with them face to face to point out what some of these things are. Now, it was, some of them said they only heard this at the press conference when Madam Jean Mensah was announcing the reasons behind their removal from the ballot. And so it took them by surprise.
But some of them said they were called to effect some changes.
To effect some changes.
So if you were not told about the errors, how then would you have been able to effect the changes?
Well, some of them said they did the changes and they returned the forms. But when they were being announced that they have been disqualified, it wasn't the changes that they went and corrected that they used to disqualify them. It was on different matter.
So why do you think the EC would disqualify
Well, that's
them?
why I'm saying that it's between them and the EC. I am not to hold forth for them. But I think that natural justice demands that they should have given them hearing. Listen to them, okay, and see. Because, well, if they are to use errors to disqualify them, then all the commissioners should be disqualified from sitting there as commissioners.
Why
because
so?
this is an error-reading electoral commission. An electoral commission which is time and again being corrected every day. You remember the episode of the registration exercise? They were changing our wrong figures. Complete wrong figures. For 3 times, my boss, Dr. Maniboama, had to issue epistle to correct them. And this borders on the register that we are talking about. Wrong figures. You still have the same electoral commission that came out with provisional, of which we are going into that matter, which has a lot of anomalies, wrong data being put out there. And you gave this wrong data to people to go and foul nomination, I don't think you have every moral right to disqualify anybody based on that. Because this, your data is not even credible. So on what basis are you disqualifying somebody based on that discredited register? Because the figures they were talking, the names they were talking about, the people using somebody's data from one constituency to nominate another person in a different constituency. Don't forget, they have moved some people from one constituency to another. So if you move my name from Accra here to Bolga, and somebody go to Bolga for his form to be endorsed, and he uses that name in Bolga, you go and say that no, that person is not supposed to be in Bolga, he's supposed to be in Accra. So you are disqualifying me. Was I the one who put it there? Is it not your own IT department that has migrated a lot of people from one polling station to another? You have distorted the data. You are now reversing it and doing your corrections. And based on this distorted data, you are disqualifying somebody. They have a point. The political parties, they have a point. If it were some of us, they will battle it out with us. Because this, your data is from our national chairman told them when we're filing. You remember he raised an issue after filing and said, he doesn't think that even you can use your current register to disqualify anybody. Because that register is tainted. You have agreed to it. So why, on what basis was Madam Jean Mensah analyzing and saying that somebody in one constituency has been used for a different constituency, knowing very well that you have a register which has that kind of discrepancies? And so I think, well, it is between them. I cannot provide any legal advice for them. That is the political parties to deal with the Electoral Commission. But if they are going to base on errors, I don't think the Electoral Commission has any moral justification whatsoever to disqualify somebody based on error, because that commission is, as it's constituted, it's an error reading commission. Error reading which we can count not less than 20 evils of errors that can be seen in that commission. Yet they are still there. And so I don't think they have any moral justification on that basis.
I see. Kingsley, I mean, computer thinks that the EC doesn't have any moral justification to disqualify people the way they did. Some of the people say that they did not even know the reason for their disqualification. That obviously cannot be right.
Right. I just want to say that in 2016, when the PPP had a matter with the EC, I was part of the legal team for PPP. Right. And we fought the EC. At that time, I was MPP. And again, my head of the legal director, Gary Nemako, was also a lawyer for the PPP when we brought the matter to court. So when, as I said, when we're discussing these issues, we should have it at the back of our minds that we are seeking to develop democracy. All right. So if the EC does something which is wrong, we must call it out as wrong. I think the political parties must take the matter up, either in approaching the EC to ask for further and better particulars, or if they are so convinced about the forms they submitted and the fact that there were no errors on it, go straight to court. I think if the EC doesn't give them a proper hearing, that in itself is an illegality, right? Because there has to be legitimate expectation, there has to be a procedural, if there's a procedural impropriety, breach of legitimate expectation, or an illegality, as in you not hearing me in itself, is a grounds for judicial review, and that has to be reviewed by the High Court. But if I am still consulted as a legal, as part of the legal team for any of the political parties, I want to see the grounds on which my party was disqualified, and then challenge the grounds. But if I don't know the reason, then the EC has some work to do. And as I said, in 2016, I was part of the legal team for PPP. Myself and Gary Nemako.
Yeah, but you see, the concern is, so they went to court in 2016.
Yes.
Thankfully, you were part of the team that got victory for the PPP, Dr. Ayub, at the time.
Yeah.
And it does appear that the EC hasn't really learned much. The same issues are appearing to be coming up. Natural justice, giving them a hearing and everything. Is the EC not learning? Because we learn from our mistakes and learn from the past.
Yeah, but you cannot.
And given that this matter went to court, and even I think there was a matter also in the Supreme Court, around also 2020 or so, they've not learned much.
Before then, so 2016, all the parties that were disqualified were bringing them out. So then it was all consolidated and brought to the Supreme Court. Her ladyship, Sophia Dingira ruled on this matter, that all of them must be given the opportunity to correct their errors and be added to it. And so that was the position of the Supreme Court. The EC complied with it. I want to see whether all of them are a breach of fair hearing before I can proffer a position whether the EC is not learning or not. I think at this moment,
because in one of the instances,
we should be demanding what has occasioned their disqualification. All of them, 13 is it? Yeah. All of them. We should be demanding what has occasioned their disqualification. 11 is it? Okay. One-on-one and decide if any of them are lack of fair hearing. Then yes. Then the EC should revise its notes and go back to what the Supreme Court has said and rule on that. And the fact that there are so many people standing for elections, for me, is a good thing because the Constitution says it in Article 62. A person shall not be qualified for election as a president unless he's a citizen of Ghana by birth. Are they all citizens of Ghana by birth? Yes. Remember, being a citizen of Ghana by birth is a legal issue. It is not where you were born, but where your parents or your grandparents are born. That makes you a citizen of Ghana by birth. All right. Of course, if you look at the Nationality Act, it changes.
The Citizenship Act.
Yeah, it changes when you were born, because those who were born under the dispensation of the 1957 Constitution is different from those who were born under 69 and from 69 to 79 and whatever. So then, those who were born, I think, from 92 onwards, it changes slightly. All right. So that is it. Then, have you attained the age of 40? That's it. Are you of a sound mind and whatnot? That's it. So if people have visions of becoming presidents of Ghana, it's a good thing. It means that more people are becoming politically aware and they think they have something to offer to the people of Ghana. If the people of Ghana decide that we have tried both parties, let's give it to an independent person. Remember, in the same constitution, it says that even your ministers, your cabinet ministers and your ministers, there should be 50% of them be members of parliament, unless the constitution is changed. So you will still have to come back and work with the representatives of the people, even in your government. And so we cannot say that because someone has underperformed and therefore everyone thinks they become president. You have to assess yourself. Some people have this belief in themselves that they can become president of Ghana. So be it. After all those who even commit an offense, a treasonable offense of coup d'etat, when they were successful, they became heads of state of Ghana. All right? And so it's rather encouraging that people are not using that means. By using the democratic means, they think that they can become president they have something to offer. If you assess them and we don't think they have, we should choose them. We should choose them now, as opposed to any of the major political parties. Then it goes to. When you go to other places, other countries, people also put themselves forward. It is rather a positive thing that people are becoming politically aware, so that the schisms and the twistings and the propaganda is losing its ground. We're now looking at real issues, which is very good for Ghana. And some of us are very happy about that. So that, for me, is the issue.
Very well. Franklin Kujo, President of Money Africa, good morning. Welcome to the program. Your thoughts about the balloting yesterday and the fact that a number of people, 11, have been disqualified, some of them crying, saying that they were not even told what their errors were. They only heard that they had been disqualified. I think you have to unmute, Franklin. No. I think yes. I can hear you now.
All right. Okay. So good morning to your good self and my good friends in the studio. Good morning. Good morning. I think I think we need to wait and hear the EC, because ordinarily, once you disqualify, you have to prefer reasons. I wouldn't understand why they are waiting to go give those reasons, and so it's a bit of a worry. But I suspect that they're probably.
But frankly, the EC did provide some reasons yesterday. It says some people did not provide their tax clearance certificates for some people. So, for example, Samuel Apia Dankwa, his was that he did not submit his vice presidential candidate's tax clearance certificate. There were other people, they said they used the data of some of the subscribers for some regions for another. I mean, they gave reasons.
Yeah. Well, if they're giving reasons, then it is for those who are peeved or whatever it is to go and then contest these reasons anyway. I mean, it's as clear as daylight. I recall my good friend Corentin was kicked out the last time, and I think this time around he managed to perfect the system, and so he is there. It's a worry to hear that PNC Bernard Mona somehow managed not to get onto the ballot, because I mean the PNC is a party that we've known for, at least they've been in the system for a while, and so for us to hear that, it was a bit curious for me. But I'm sure the EC must have provided reasons for that as well. I don't know whether they were given opportunity to correct some of these errors within a particular frame of time, and they didn't. The question really is, why did 13 people qualify and then the other did not qualify? I suspect that's what everybody will be asking right now. But I'm sure Bernard would explain himself much better than that. So, yeah, otherwise, it's an interesting election. There are 13 so far, 13 candidates. And it looks to me that it's really going to be an interesting election. If I heard Cheddar well, there are some of them who are fronts, which is quite the case. I mean, I think it's true, really. I mean, you just need to look at body posturing and all of that stuff. I'm not saying anything. I just feel like some people out there. Cheddar was, whatever it is, in politics, all these things are allowed. I mean, look, in the Republican situation, you know, my good friend Trump has the endorsement of a guy who left the Democratic Party. So, clearly speaking, these things are allowed anyway. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about the process that went on yesterday. Unless, of course, there's a follow-up question.
So in terms of that, I mean, I was quite disappointed that the parties, together with the EC, could not, without controversy, I mean, go through a ballot, smoothly. That would take, back and forth, the balls, some being different, etc. I mean, I was just concerned that at this time and age, we could not get this thing done seamlessly as we approach a very important election. I don't know what your thoughts generally will be on that. Quite a minor issue, though.
Frankly, I mean, it spices up the whole thing, really. I mean, for me, it's as if everyone is wide awake. I put up a post yesterday night saying that in this election, you need to open your eyes. The moment you blink, you turn the ghost. So you have to every little thing matters. What I was a bit worried about, the whole thing was done like some, there's this way to do cast the ballot. Is it Lotto, where there's this? I mean, even then we have a mechanized form of these days, right? You see the ball goes into, and then I think people should have just put the balls in some machine, then like the way they do with
the lottery.
Then you go and press. You press and the number that comes, you pick it and go. All this hula baloo, I mean, then again, it tells you that this EC is just so archaic. So when it comes to some of this, I mean, I suspect that, I mean, an EC that is invested, that is interested in investing billions of cedis in machines. I thought this was a very crude way of actually doing the math. Exceedingly crude, really. I mean, I thought that you would have invested in something more mechanical, and then people just press, and then the number comes, and then you go away. Even Lotto, what's it called? Private Lotto people, underground Lotto, what's it called? The entrepreneurs are doing quite better. But hey, whatever it is, it was hilarious. I thought it was interesting that we have to put our hands in some bag. I don't know, and then it's so funny. But whatever happened was interesting. It spices up the elections as well.
Very well. I take a short break. Bernard Mona is on. Bernard Mona is one of the candidates disqualified by the EC. He stood or stands on the ticket of the PNC. He is peeved, he is unhappy with the disqualification. He does appear to have a lot to say. He says he will go to court. When we return from the break, we will hear from the horse's own mouth. This is the big issue. Don't go away. You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue, 97.3 City FM and also on ChannelOne television. We are looking at the matter of the EC balloting, the disqualification of some candidates. And quickly we'll delve into the issues of the forensic register and the enough is enough demonstration that we saw earlier in the week. Now, one of the persons disqualified by the EC, 11 of them, is Bernard Mona of the PNC. The PNC is one of those traditional parties, at least for the Fourth Republic. They used to be PMP. By the Fourth Republic, they became PNC. Dr. Hila Liman, Dr. Nasigri Edward Mahama, Apasera. In fact, we had Ayariga, Apasera, and then now Bernard Mona is the man. But he, unfortunately, has been kicked out by the EC. EC says that his face will not be on the ballot, and he's peeved. Bernard Mona, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, boss.
Yes, I don't know how to start it, but you've been kicked out of the process, more or less, and the EC says that you failed to complete your forms properly, and because of that, you've been disqualified. What is the response from your end? And if you can quickly tell us what the EC told you about the errors you made that led to your disqualification.
Well, the EC said there were errors on my form. And they gave us the opportunity to rectify those errors. And we did. Some of the errors that the EC said we had were that on one of my forms, you will see that there is no date on a particular supporter. But on the other three forms, we would have put the date there. So it means that it was an inadvertent omission. Some, you will see that in writing the numbers were not complete. And so all that we did was just look at the information from the other forms, and then we rectified them. The EC gave us Saturday to return the form, even as I received my nomination forms on the Saturday. We returned them on time, and Mr. Samuel Kwa acknowledged that my forms were corrected and returned.
I see.
So it's amazing. They were corrected and returned. Now, if you look at yesterday when Jean Mensah was talking, all other candidates, she indicated that their forms were given to them, they had the opportunity, and they returned them. Not so. But when it got to me, she said that there were several errors, and that the committee decided to disqualify me. She never said that we were given the opportunity to correct those errors, and that we actually corrected them and returned them. I've given the first letter the EC wrote to you, and I'm sure that you can put it on your...
Yes, so we're trying to project on the screen.
If you put the first letter, you will notice that the EC told us that pages 9, 10, they were incomplete records.
Pages 9, 10, 37, 39, 42, 46, and 50. Incomplete particulars of supporters. That was one.
That's all. That's one, and there was no two.
There was no two, yes.
It beats one's imagination why they would say one, as if there was another thing they wanted to add.
All right.
So what it meant that, obviously, something is not right. So we corrected those things and returned them to the EC on schedule. And you will see our letter responding to them. You will see the letter. We responded to them. And we submitted the form. Mr. Kwao received the forms. So,
yes, Bernard.
The minister should admit that we did the corrections and that we returned same to her. Not so. If there were any further issues with our form, then that tells the inadequacies of the Electoral Commission itself. Because what you identify, you have just
I think Bernard Mona is having some interferences, obviously speaking from his phone, and so having some interferences from incoming calls, and that is disturbing our conversation with him. But we hope he's available to speak now. So Bernard, yes, but the point really also the EC makes in that letter to you is that it says, meanwhile, the commission is contacting your supporters to verify the authenticity of their consent to your nomination. And so if you said you corrected the incomplete particulars of supporters on pages 9, 10, 37, 39, 42, 46, and 50, could it also be that after the EC contacting your supporters to verify the authenticity of their consent to your nomination, it found something funny, and based on that, you were disqualified? Could that also be a possibility?
If they found something funny, what were they supposed to do? To alert me and the PNC, or
I see.
So that we will check to know what actually they found, and we will prove whether their finding was justified or not justified. But yesterday, when you listen to Madame Jean Mensah, she said that they found something funny. They said that details from one district were used for another district, which we challenge. In any case, if that was the case, bring it to us. This is a political space. And so we know each other. We've been communicating. Those political parties that Jean Mensah and the Electoral Commission qualified, they had problems worse than us. And I can tell you that as of Monday, that is 2 days after we completed our forms, some political parties were still struggling to return their forms to the Electoral Commission. They returned them. The EC can qualify them. But if errors are things that the EC think that should not be made by a human being, go to page 137 of the EC's own presidential nomination forms, which talks about candidates' personal record. If you go to number 3, the EC wanted to find my gender or sex, not so. Number 3, they wrote 6 into brackets empty and to brackets F. Is 6 the same thing as sex?
That's that's a clerical error, which can easily be dealt with.
But it's an error. Errors have differentiations. So EC2 can make errors. And I'm pointing out that whilst we overlooked the EC's own errors, the EC is there. Okay, you identified errors for me. I corrected them. And so once I've corrected them, what is the basis for disqualifying me? This is what I say, that even if you don't like a monkey, you don't tell us that it went plucking cotton. Because monkey doesn't joke with cotton because it will make it blind. So even if you don't like him, you don't say that we did. I mean, and yesterday, Salom, don't you know how long we have worked with Jean Mensah? From 2003, I've worked with her from the IEA. So Bernard Mona should not be a difficult name for Jean Mensah to mention. But see how she was fumbling.
I see.
See how she was fumbling. Or just go and play it. Go and play it, and you will appreciate what I said.
But what does that mean? What inferences are you drawing from the fact that somebody pronounces your name a certain way?
No, I mean, on the 2 occasions that she had to mention my name, she made mistake.
Which means what? I mean, mistakes happen.
Which means that she was under some heavy burden to do what she was doing. And I'm saying that I don't know why anybody would think that denying the people their choice of president should be their lot. I say I am the next president of Ghana. And I'm convinced that I am the next president of Ghana.
I see.
And I say Twi and Hausa as our first and second languages of instruction. I have also said that every Ghanaian will be born into wealth and not debt. And frankly, we would admit that basic economic consumption function will tell you that A is C is equal to A plus BY, where A is autonomous consumption and B is dependent on your levels of income.
I see.
I want to manipulate it. And so I am not a joker in this race. I know what I am talking about. I did not come to add to the numbers. I don't know why Jean Mensa wants to deny her own children the opportunity of being born into wealth and not into poverty. I don't know why we cannot use our language as the Japanese are doing, as the Germans are doing, as the French are doing, as the Russians are doing, as the Koreans are doing, so that we too will become proficient in the things that we do, so that somebody doesn't go and study economics to come and tell me that GDP, which is the summation of the wealth or income of our nation, is growing. And yet, anytime you say that GDP is growing, you rather are on the street borrowing.
Very well. So reserve that. When you get back onto the ballot, then we can engage you on your policy and your plans for the country. But for now, the EC says that you are not fit to be on the ballot. But let me provide some information to the public. This in respect of your correspondence with the EC. So on the September 13th, 2024, the EC boss, the EC Director of Electoral Services, Benjamin Banobio, wrote to you, and I read it verbatim. It says, Presidential Nomination Vetting Committee's report. So I bring you greetings from the Presidential Nomination Committee and trust that this letter finds you well. And that letter indeed is on the screen. So the Nomination Committee has detected the underlisted anomalies with your nomination forms. 1, incomplete particulars of supporters, into bracket pages 9, 10, 37, 39, 42, 46, and 50. There was no 2, and so the listed anomalies, but only 1 was stated, perhaps in the volume, so that accounts for the plural. Meanwhile, the commission is contacting your supporters to verify the authenticity of their consent to your nomination. You are required to come for your nomination forms today, Friday the 13th of September, 2024, and effect the needed corrections and resubmit by 2 p.m. on Saturday the 14th of September 2024. We wish you well. Signed by Benjamin Banobio, Director Electoral Services of the EC. So after that, you also replied, addressing Mr. Benjamin Banobio, read Presidential Nomination Vetting Committee report. I write to acknowledge receipt of your letter with the above caption. Permit me to state that my team and I have since corrected the errors and would resubmit the nomination forms to the Commission according to schedule. In the meantime, I extend my compliments to the Commission. Thank you. Signed on your behalf by somebody, or signed for you by somebody, addressed to the EC chairperson, the deputy chairman.
My general secretary.
Okay, so by the general secretary, I see. So that is where we are. And then now we also read from the EC about your disqualification. And the EC disqualified you, saying that you could not, you did not, let me read that. It says, filing of address to you, and in this case signed by Jean Mensa herself. Dear sir, filing of nomination, disqualification from the 2024 presidential election, which is, okay, we'll put it on the screen. I bring to you greetings from the Electoral Commission and trust this letter finds you well. On behalf of the Commission, I regret to inform you that following the review of your nomination forms by the technical and IT teams established for this purpose, you unfortunately failed to qualify to contest as presidential candidate in the 2024 presidential election. The teams identified several errors and omissions in your forms, even though you were provided with an opportunity to correct same. We wish you better luck next time. Thank you, yours faithfully, Jean Mensa, EC, Mrs. Jean Mensa, EC, chairperson. So could this mean that even though you were provided the opportunity to correct the errors, you still could not correct all the errors? And so the EC could not have called you back for the second time to say, no, maybe page 9 or page 40, you failed to correct it appropriately. Could that be the case?
It's not true. We corrected everything. And I'm saying that the posturing of the Electoral Commission and chairperson yesterday and the reasons he gave are at variance with the reasons they are given in letter. You have them. Just capture what Jean Mensa said about me. She was talking about totally different things that are at variance with
I see. All right.
That there were several errors, which are the errors that we did not correct. We corrected the errors.
All right.
We corrected the error.
Okay. So what is your next line of action? What will you do now that you've been kicked out? You don't have time. Time is running. Courts are on vacation. Monday is a holiday. What are you doing?
Oh, Salom, I am a law-abiding Ghanaian. My lawyers are Atuguba and Associates, and many others have offered to join them to fight for the next president of the Republic of Ghana. And I'm grateful for the teaming lawyers that want to join Atuguba and Associates to restore me on the ballot so that the people of Ghana, the students, the security agencies that find me the most credible person to lead this nation will get a chance to do what they want to do. I am confident that with my and so please, just be assured. It's just that the weekend will start, or the week will start next Tuesday onwards. And I can assure you that we will file the necessary legal works that will restore us onto the ballot. The PNC, and if you subtract 32 years from my age and that of Jim Mensah and Bosman, probably will still be in JSS. And so it is not a small party. I am only privileged to lead that party. And no one should take it for granted. There are many people, yesterday, people were waiting. Somebody was driving his Yutong bus. When he heard the news, he went off the road into the bush. I just thank God that there were
when
no
they heard the news that Bernard Mona has been disqualified, I see. That's interesting.
Yes.
So let's play the video of the EC boss announcing your disqualification together with others, and then we'll come back and conclude on this. Okay, no, that video is not ready yet. But you know, we wish you well, Bernard. We hope that you're able to resolve this so that we see you on the ballot, so that we see how elections on December 7 will go. But before that, normally you may want to write to the EC asking some more questions. Are you doing that, or you are going straight to court?
Oh, you can see the.
All right, Bernard, your network, obviously, and of course, he's on the road. I'm sure he's attending a party event. You see the party paraphernalia around his neck and his beret and all of that. That's Bernard Mona for you. He says he'll fight to get his name restored. Yeah, so Bernard, you're making a point.
I'm saying that in the usual chicanery of the Electoral Commission, they failed to respond to my lawyer, and my lawyer's letter is also with.
I see. Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Bernard. We will talk to you again. We wish you the very best in your quest to get this matter resolved, and we hope that the EC does what it must do to ensure that we have a proper system. So now the video, we have it. Let's hear what the EC boss said about the disqualified candidates.
Samuel Apiadankwa, independent candidate, was, however, presented with a number of issues to resolve, including not filing a tax certificate for his vice presidential candidate. And then some of his pages were omitted from the form, and he had incomplete particulars for some of his supporters. Unfortunately, though he was provided with the opportunity to correct this, he was unable to do so, and the committee was recommended that he be disqualified. Mr. Bernard Mona also had incomplete particulars of supporters. He also used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts. His form also contained varying signatures for the same supporters, and in some cases, the same signature for different supporters. The committee was of the view that he be disqualified.
All right, so that's Jim Mensah. giving reasons why a few of the people were disqualified. It was quite an exhaustive list. So Bernard is still on. He's still on. So Bernard, you heard him. You provided varying signatures for some of your supporters and all of that, and that the EC cannot countenance.
Did the EC say that I corrected the error? As he said in the other persons, that they gave them the opportunity to correct the errors and they couldn't. In our instance, did you hear the EC say that we corrected the errors?
Maybe you didn't correct the errors, or the errors were not corrected enough. So
it's not true. Therefore, she should have stated that we were given the opportunity and that we failed to correct the errors. The opportunity they gave us is that which started from page 9, page 10, page 30, 37, 42 onwards. Not so. And that is what we corrected. That is what the EC wrote. They said that book no lie.
I see.
The EC must be an institution of record.
Very well. So we are proceeding, or you are proceeding on the assumption that the corrections you provided indeed were correct. That's the assumption you are proceeding on.
They were absolutely correct. Because as I said, the irony was that if a telephone number or a date was missing on one set of the forms, if you go to the second and third set, you found out that those informations were there. So it was not difficult for us to provide those information. We simply picked them from the other forms.
Okay. Thanks, Bernard. But where are you going? You are going for a party event? I'm just curious. Are you going to party headquarters to explain to your executives and your council why you've been disqualified? Where are you to?
I just left the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, where I went to make libation to the Osage Depot, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I joined briefly in the demonstration at the
Democracy Hub, Occupy Jubilee House demonstration.
And as I tell you, I'm almost in Sokode, where I am going to introduce my running mate to the chiefs and people. You know that the chief of Abutia, Abutia 30, is 25 years on the throne. And so I'm almost in the community for that.
But to what end? Yes, I mean, moving from all the things you have done and now getting to Sokode in the Volta region whole, that's been quite a journey. But to what end? You are not on the ballot. Are you not wasting your time and money and everybody else's time?
I will be on the ballot.
Very well.
Don't forget that 2016, nothing happened. We were on the ballot.
Very well. Thank you so much, and we wish you the very best.
Don't forget that the National Convention at a point said that I was disqualified. I came onto the ballot. And then when I came onto the ballot, I won by landslide.
Very well.
So I will be on the ballot and I will win.
By landslide, hopefully. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very well.
Thank you for your vote.
Your good friend Kisley is here. He says if you are forming your government, you may want an all-inclusive government, and so he may be interested. All right, thanks so much, Bernard, and have a good time.
You say something else.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, so we heard him. I mean, he's obviously on Happy Kingsley. I mean, he was given the opportunity to correct some things, and the EC did not explicitly say why he was disqualified. They just said they gave him the found errors, but whether the errors were corrected or not, the EC didn't say. So he thinks that there's something fishy going on. What do you think?
Well, I'm hearing from his side, and as I said, I'm not hearing from the EC side as to why. The EC? Yes, but I'm not hearing from their side as to why he in particular was disqualified.
But we heard the EC boss. Let's play that clip again, where the EC boss spoke about Samuel Appiah Dankwa and then Bernard Mona and I think one more person.
Appiah Dankwa, independent candidate, was however presented with a number of issues to resolve, including not filing a tax certificate for his vice presidential candidate. And then some of his pages were omitted from the form, and he had incomplete particulars for some of his supporters. Unfortunately, though he was provided with the opportunity to correct this, he was unable to do so, and the committee was recommended that he be disqualified.
All right, so that's the matter you have.
That's Appiah Dankwa I'm talking about.
No, that's Bernard.
No, Appiah Dankwa is what he discussed.
No, they mentioned.
No. What he pleaded was Appiah Dankwa. what I know appear, what I've heard, and I cannot verify is that what she's talking about Apia Dankwa had filed the tax returns of the vice president. So if that's the case, Apia Dankwa has a cause. For Bernard, my very good friend Bernard, I am in support of anyone who can raise issues about the application, and if they feel they must challenge it in court or go back to the EC and challenge it and give her the chance to correct it. I'm in support of that because this is democracy and everyone has a chance to vie for whatever position they have. So, and I said, even in 2016, I was part of the legal team for PPP. You see, so if there's any genuine and genuine things that need to be dealt with, I am all for it. He's gone for another lawyer. It's not, he didn't come for me, so I'm sure.
You will be soliciting.
But I'm not saying no. Be careful. And Atiguba and Go are very good lawyers, and so sure. Yeah. So and he said other lawyers have indicated their willingness.
And you also threw your way behind them.
I may, if but he's my friend. You should have called me and consulted me. So anything that takes away someone's right.
You're against. And
I'm against that.
You want it corrected.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very well, Salom, like I stated earlier, this electoral commission, they don't have any moral right to disqualify them based on these errors they are talking of.
Because you said you also committed errors.
They themselves, it's an error-ridden electoral commission. So on what basis are they disqualifying somebody because of errors? And these errors they are talking of, well, it's bothered with the register that we are fighting them, which they've accepted the challenges that bedevil their register. And also, why should you use figures from the register or data from the register to disqualify them when you are still cleaning the register? To them, they say they are doing the corrections. And so why should you disqualify somebody based on a register that you are correcting?
Very well.
They have a point. I mean, Bernard has a point.
Very well. Franklin, you heard your good friend Bernard. Are you convinced in any way that he was unfairly treated, or you think the Electoral Commission must play by the rules and ensure that what is to be done is done? So, for example, they see varying signatures of some of the supporters, etc., which Bernard says is correct, but the EC doesn't appear to be satisfied with that.
You know, frankly speaking, if they said, for instance, people had illegally, signed up to Bernard or something like that, that would have been probably great. But the things I'm hearing so far, frankly speaking, these are not things that are so grave that I think you should just kick the guy out. I mean, I think they should just listen to him. I mean, look, anything I say about the EC, people will want to hear it differently. You know me already. I said I'll never trust them, ever, because they are not trustworthy. But on this particular one, I think these are things that can be corrected. And I mean, they should. I don't think these are weighty enough to disqualify them. I don't think so at all.
But Franklin, I mean,
and as far as this whole thing goes, the NDC challenge and all of that goes, I think I want to make a statement I've been making over the last couple of days. I think the EC needs to just. I don't understand. I remember when I had a friend who used to work for, I think, RLC. And then at the point, he told me that, I said, why are you not going to work at RLC? He said, so my wife has been asking me, which company are you working for? Every day they're in the news or something else. So, are you not tired? So then I asked myself, are the frontline commissioners of the EC not tired? Are they just not tired? There's a certain level of exposure that sometimes comes to this type of work. Unfortunately, they've not exhibited any of them. I mean, when I listen to them, I cringe. I'm like, are these the best we can produce to represent us? Apart from making discordant statements and wishy-washy, last week was just a mess. I couldn't believe myself that, then again, put me aside. Put my salary aside and just listen to the commissioners when they speak. No confidence, apart from the fact that a few of them who have been put on there are real party people. I mean, how do you organize a society like this? I understand there's a gentleman who is IT related. He's a Tescom founder. They're listing his CV. The CV is heavily NPP. I mean, you don't do things like this. It's just commonsensical. Others will talk. I know a few of the commissioners, one of the commissioner, one of them, Reverend, obviously she's very qualified, even if she has affiliation to, she's an engineer, she really knows her marbles. But the other ones are activists. Even the guy who has been brought back from the Ashanti region, and Sibo was kicked out. I mean, I thought Sibo was actually doing a better job, seriously. But kicked out and brought this guy who is clearly partisan. I mean, you don't do, how low can you get? And you see, you need to evoke some sort of confidence. And I suspect that, unfortunately, there's no, it saddens me that somebody who I trained under, and Jean was a perfect administrator when I worked with her, right? I mean, to think that, well, she
Jean Mensah, you mean your days at IE?
I worked with her. You know, before I went to farm Imani, I worked with Jean. She's smart. But there's something else that I'm looking at and I'm asking myself. When she got the job, we spoke for one hour on the phone. I said, go, we support you. Then you started doing things anyhow. I don't get it. People think I hate it. Look, guys, I don't hate that one bit. I'm not interested. Some people are saying, oh, now I can compare contract, now I'm my. What is all this? To think that my own people, and you see, the certain pains me to the extent that when I sent my chiefs to her, she asked that I said my chiefs want to come and see, but they are worried that they will not be allowed to vote for MP. So don't worry, you bring them. I bust, well, not really bust. I supported them. They came to see her, and then they spoke, and they said, "Oh, it was nice." I met them, I think, somewhere at Coconut Brew. So everything went well. Don't worry, you're sure. 5 days later, in the middle of the night, a letter is written, and you can't tell me you didn't see that letter, that you can't vote, and that was all. There was no explanation, nothing, and up to today, they've not apologized. Recently, they were fighting me. Almost everything I write, they respond. And I'm like, what? How low can you get? You disenfranchise people, just say sorry. And then you go ahead. Their lawyer in Ho had to even say sorry. You know, one of the things that is also worrying really is that I think the Shraj commissioners recently said it last year, that the courts are also motivating Jean and her colleagues to misbehave. You know why? Because our case in Ho, which we started, could you believe the judge eventually, after 3 years, said, oh, he has no jurisdiction to deal with the case? I mean, how ludicrous can this get? My good friend Kingsley, you're a lawyer. You start a case in the court, the first things that must happen is, okay, if you read the jurisdiction or no jurisdiction, then you wait for 3 years, listen to arguments back and forth, people travel back, we all spend money, and then you finally, your verdict is that it's not on the merit of the issue. So, I will need jurisdiction. Even the Banana Republic cannot deliver these kinds of things. When you do these kinds of things and people see them, then they begin to form opinions and say, I can't get justice, right? Look, there was a question I was asked on the BBC, which I think wasn't played last week. I said, do you trust the EC? And I said, probably you are asking the wrong person, because I had confidence in the EC, sent my people to the EC. She assured them. 5 days later, I said, wow, you can't vote. Up to today, no singular reason has been given. Even at Attorney General Dami, at the point, even though you know me and his issues as well, I think he's an overbearing AG, he's so political. But even there, he had some temerity, he had some soul. When they said, look, EC, the way you're behaving, you shouldn't have done that in this matter. That is all there is. And then they started their infractions with all this procurement stuff. Every step of the way, that procurement thing hurts me so bad that Jim, who obviously was a paragon of the good civil society, I was shocked. I was mortified. People think we are making these things up when we say them. We got information from the same EC people who were disgruntled about the whole procurement thing, prior to buying the equipment, and said, look, guys, you can't say 85 plus 13 is 105. It's not possible. That was how the bid was rigged in favor of the company that these things are clear, they are all stated, they have evidence. So we don't have any look, the last time, recently when they said all the machines purchased from 2011 are dead. We're like, what? You purchased these machines in 2018 and 2019, parliamentary records, 2,000 of them and 1,005 of them. These things are costly, about $3,500. The evidence is all there. How do you tell the whole world? So, guys, this is our case. We don't have.
Yeah, I get the concern. I mean,
but you see, it gets to a point.
Issues of
people think that we have some agenda against. We are not interested. Look, I better spend my time. Look, I'm not boasting. Seriously, let me just tell you one final thing. To those who say, "Oh, where a source of money?" What? I just completed some job with the British government. In fact, we are advising the British government to give money to the next administration, not much, to build their fiscal and financial resilience. I was a deputy country leader. At least I got paid close to £600 a day. Now, if I was spending all my
your good friend Kingsley here.
No, Kingsley, we'll have a party, don't worry. I'm not receiving the money though. They are still,
and that computer too is watching.
No, but I'm asking myself, whatever it is, it's not that we spend our time always cooking, thinking about how to destroy people. I'm just not interested. I'd better spend my time writing for international media, get my $1,000 per paper. What is this? But you live in the country, I spend 60% of humanity's time focus on things that we don't get paid for. Then people vilify you. And we don't care about the vilification, by the way. Think it's asking. We like fights. So I just worry that people don't get the gravamen of what we are dealing with in this town.
Very well.
We cannot easy that it must be a law unto itself. That is not what stakeholder involvement is about. Thank you.
Franklin, thanks so much. Your point's well made. So let's get back to this matter of forensic audit, and enough is enough. Computer, I mean, your party sought audience with the EC. You went to have that meeting with them. You made a presentation to them. And a lot of, the discussion happened. The EC asked you to give them the data you have so they can work on it and correct the anomalies you found. Till date, they say they don't have the data from you. So what's the point, really?
Salom.
And before that, if you can just refresh our minds on the concerns you have about the register for which you went to the EC to complain to them.
That's why I said, before I start on this, I want you to show this this book.
Okay, so
listen this
yes.
book.
So what's on the book?
A book.
How to rig an election?
How to rig an election. This is what the Electoral Commission is implementing in Ghana currently.
How?
Yes, I'll point it out. I'll point it out. It's Nick Chisman and then Brian Clark. They are professors of political science, okay, and criminology from Yale University, okay. There's a portion they said something. Been reading this book for the past 6 years and realized that this country have been robbed for the past 8 years. With this book, these guys have been implementing all along.
So they were reading this book allegedly, whilst you were not reading it?
No, at that point, I hadn't gotten the book. You see, it was after all the shenanigans that I realized that something was going wrong in this country, and we needed to get close.
Okay.
Allegedly, okay. In other words, effective rigging ensures that you win and that you get away with it without losing legitimacy. Such tactics include manipulating the electoral register. Listen, manipulating the what? The electoral register. Blocking certain candidates from running in election, Bernard Mona. Blocking certain candidates from running. I'm just giving you that crude tactics. Okay? And playing with electoral boundaries to maximize partisan gains. What Imani Boss has just talked about. Now, what all of these tactics have in common is that they can be deployed months in advance of an election when observers are likely to be seen on the ground, and they can be presented as technical or legal decisions as opposed to political scarcity. You see, this technique is from this book. Is that not what we are seeing now?
How?
Good. This is an electoral commission that gave us a register, a provisional register. In fact, we had to force them to give us a register. With all their antics, they gave us a register on the 19th of August. Less than 24 hours to the exhibition exercise. The exhibition was 20th. Okay. So we took time to study the register. Ostensibly, They thought by giving us the register at that odd hour, we're not going to study the register. There was no way we could study such a huge data of almost 18 million plus. But we took time because we mean business and studied the register. We realized that the register was bedeviled with a lot of anomalies, a lot of discrepancies meant to rig the election. And we're going to demonstrate that. Now, we realized that over 243,000 old data of transfers, 243,000 old data of transfers, people who transferred their votes from 2020 register to 2023. You know, there was a registration in 2023 meant for the district assembly election. So people did their transfers from 2020 register, which we did for the 2020 election, to the 2023 register. And now, when you do transfer, per our game of things, per the CI 91, where this thing, registration exercises are done, and 127 talks about transfers. Transfers are now permanent. So as soon as you are done with the transfers, that period, it goes into the main register. So you don't have any issue about transfers. It's discarded. The transfer lists are discarded. Now we realize that in this current 2024 register, the old transfers that they did, they've added them to the current transfers. Because we saw the transfer batch of 566,000 in the register. And we said, oh, how? Where from this? Because the transfers that you did in your district offices, all your district offices, amounted to about 343,000. So how come you are now having a 566,000 transfer badge in the register? So that raised our suspicion. And we say, these people are trying to do something.
But what does that mean? If 243,000 persons from 2020, 2023 have been added to the new ones, their names will be double, or it doesn't work that way? Because they are already there.
What is happening is that those names are being given QR codes twice in different locations in the register. So if I see Salom in page 1, I'm going to see Salom in another page 3.
And the QR codes are different?
Different. So in that case, you can be verified twice to vote. That is the implication.
But in different locations?
In different locations.
Could be in different constituencies?
Not in different, the same constituency, but in different locations.
Polling stations?
Yes. So we saw that and said, no, this is a strategy to rig elections. Somebody is being given heads up with 243,000. So we saw that one. Another one we saw was that there was an illegal transfer of almost 15,000 people. How did this happen? The example they were trying to use and said that is the only one happened with a loveliness check, the Pusiga episode, the 38 they were talking in Tamale. It's not 38 in Tamale, it's across the country. It's about 15,000 of such transfers. Now what they did is that somebody sat in the Electoral Commission office, ostensibly has a passcode of the district offices. Either the technician or the presiding officers, the returning officer or district, or the directors themselves did it. That is why we are calling for this audit. Sat there, used the voter ID numbers and photos of their voter ID cards to do these transfers. If you look at CI 127, which unfortunately, I don't know, Kingsley should have supported their MPP General Secretary when they were writing their press statement. They were quoting wrong laws. I don't know whether their legal director didn't see the press conference before that. They were quoting wrong laws. CI 127 is about transfers. It talks about transfers and elections. It has nothing to do with exhibition. So you can't go and be quoting CI 127 and say that CI 127 talks about how to make changes in your data, go and make corrections and all that. CI 127 had nothing to do with that. So it was the wrong premises on which they were doing. If it was to be in court, they would have dismissed them technically. So 127 talks about transfers. And Regulation 22 is specific about it. It says that a voter must appear before a returning officer with his ID card, indicating that I want to transfer my vote. So Salom, if you are here, you are Accra here, let's take this place as your polling station. City, or ChannelOne TV polling station. This is where you vote. But now you are now in Tamale. You have stayed in Tamale for about 12 months. That's what the law says. So you walk to the Office of Electoral Commission in Tamale with your ID card, saying that I used to be in Accra, ChannelOne TV polling station. Now I'm in Tamale. So I want my vote moved from ChannelOne polling station to Tamale. So in that case, the returning officer will walk you through the process by taking your biometrics and all that, and then a new ID card is issued to you, showing that you are now in Tamale police station. This is how it is stated in the CI. So this is what we call loveliness what? Check. Because you are there live. It's already
embedded. Are you saying
in the
this
CI.
wasn't done in the case of
this wasn't done in the 15,000 episode we have identified.
What's the EC's response to that?
The EC said that is why they have interdicted their Pusiga, because initially, before our meeting with them, we had to raise issue about the Pusiga man. The Tamale Northern Regional Executive raised issue about held press conference. So quickly, Dr. Bosman rushed ahead of our meeting with them on Friday to hold a press conference and announced that, yes, it is true that 38 of Tamale South and Sandargo people were illegally transferred to Pusiga. And because of that, they have interdicted their officer. He didn't know that there are more of such illegal transfer across the country. So what our people, the press conference our people held, they rather base their press conference on that. Instead of them to do inner house check of similar what, they were rather running with the 38. So when we met them on Friday, we told them it isn't 38. These are the evidence. We showed them evidence of similar transfers in constituencies. That's why I'm surprised they come out and say we didn't present them in a...
No, their presentation was done, but
yes.
they want like copies of the data. So for example, this ID number, this person's name from police station A been transferred to police station B. They want those information to be able to do that. But you have them. Why won't you give it to them if you are minded to solve the problem?
Salon, in that meeting, we wish the media were there. They prevented you media. If you were there, this discussion wouldn't happen here. When we did the presentation and we're showing them what you are just telling, this person ID number, this is the code, this is where you have transferred from this polling station to this polling station. These are examples of similar things you have done. Plenty of it. We did that for one person in Accra here. In fact, the person was moved from one polling station in Accra to Tessano, and we demonstrated it. Their IT consultant, Ofori, quickly opened his laptop and said, oh, the gentleman is in the register. You see, when the ghosts want to kill you, they first make you mad. And say, he's in the register. You have removed the person in the register. The provisional one you display, he's no more in the register. The one we have, the PVR, he's no more in the register. Now you are saying he's in the register. Tell him which polling station is he? And which constituency? Do you know what he said? He mentioned K2 North.
K2 North. So
it was even increasing more suspicion to what they were doing. And say, Master, you mean K2 North? The register you display and the one we have has nothing to do with K2 North, Volta region. So it means that you are singing from a register which is not known to the public and a register which is not known to we, the political party. And he said, oh yes, we have done some corrections and now we have done a lot of correction. And then we say, oh, you have done correction. So all these things we are talking, you have done correction. Give us a corrected version of the register that you have. So we quickly handed over our hard drive, 2 terabytes. Give us the corrected version. We will go and compare. But you are asking us to give us all this that we have. We are not going to give you because we want a forensic audit. The matter is more than what you are talking about. We are talking of your IT system, which is being compromised, which you agree that it has been compromised. People can get into it and get out and manipulate the data anyhow. So we are calling for a forensic audit. When such a body is put together, we will now come because we are ongoing with our investigation on the register. More evidence are coming out. So this is what we...
But the way to resolve it, obviously, is not to be on the street, okay? You don't do so on the street. So present your data, maybe sit with them. Why won't you raise this matter even at IPAC? Because IPAC has been a platform that you guys have and you try to resolve issues from there. Why won't you table this at IPAC? Why won't you call or write to the EC to call an IPAC meeting so you can table this matter and let all the political parties have a go at it?
Salom, we have been in IPAC, and I'm telling you that in 2015, 2016, in IPAC, Jean Mensah was representing IE. They come to IPAC as of 2015. When the MPP was all over the place, telling Ghanaians that 80,000 of Togolese were in the register, and therefore it makes the register ineffective for any elections. Dr. Baumia was all over the place, presenting bar charts and pie charts, indicating pictures of Togolese and all that. Samia Uku, they are national youth organizer there. held press conference and was bringing fire that their people's names were taken out of the register and all that. Their national chairman, McMenu, all of them, they were all over the place. IPAC was in existence. And I'm surprised at by my friend Kodio people also referring next to IPAC. They were at IPAC. Why then didn't they bring the matter to IPAC for us to discuss it? But they were saying that they needed an external body. In fact, Jean Mensah said they needed an independent body to investigate or audit the register. Madam Charlotte said didn't dismiss it. The government then, NDC, didn't dismiss it. A body was formed, an external body, in fact, an independent body, led by Justice Crabb, the late Justice V.C.R.C. Crabb, to look at, it was made up of 5-member committee to go into the matter. The NDC made appearance. Yes, we made appearance before the committee, presented our grievance. Why we think they were not Togolese? They were Ghanaians. The fact that you are called Kokufi or Kofiche, and you see the face like that, and you think that, hey, this Kofifi is not a Ghanaian, it's a Togolese. Have you been to Volta region very well and know the areas, their names? That was not a basis to remove them as Togolese. So we made a presentation. The MPP didn't defy the body. They also made presentation. They didn't say we are not going to make presentation because this body is not, they are not members of the Electoral Commission. They made presentation. They didn't send their grievances to the Electoral Commission themselves to do the cleaning. They never made a presentation.
But I understand after that, you guys resolved or agreed that henceforth matters like that should be brought to IPAC.
Who resolved that? Who said so?
I thought that was the conclusion.
There was nothing like that. In fact, I was part and parcel of the procedure. And when Justice Crabb made his final recommendation and all that, the MPP realized that what they were saying was just a hogwash. It didn't just play. But they went ahead and won the election, right? With the same register they were talking about.
Another way of doing this, if you don't present the fee, how about you go to court?
Which court?
The courts of Ghana.
As it is constituted.
The courts are the courts of the land.
I thought you knew your opposition already going to this election.
No, but if you have a matter, you don't resolve it on the street.
I am saying that we told them, and they are intransigent position, the Electoral Commission, led us to go to the street so that the whole world will see.
Yeah, but the street, it's part of it. But you can't continue to be on the street. You must have resolution to this. So the EC is refusing to listen to you. Go to court to get a court to compel them to do the right thing.
Selom, we are not going to any court.
You fight on the street?
I am saying that we are not going to any court. We have issued a one-week ultimatum. We have given reasons.
And the 1 week expires on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yes.
What happens next?
Look, you are lawyers. Kinsley is here. Enough prima facie evidence has been presented to Ghanaians, to them.
Yeah, but they say they are resolving it. Or that's the essence, that was the essence of the exhibition exercise.
The essence, no. The exhibition exercise couldn't have corrected this.
No, you bring the matters up. And then matters are corrected.
Couldn't have. If we are going to rely on CI 91, Regulation 23 about exhibition, this matter would have been swept in like what they were trying to do.
The persons whose names have been transferred, did they go to the exhibition to check their names and they found this out? Was that how it happened?
Interestingly, most of them didn't go. You know, by our nature,
we don't normally do
exhibition. 30% Ghanaians go to check their names. Because we presume, if you look at successes for 92, in fact, we were using papers. In 1992, they gave it was small paper as your voter ID. I remember when they gave it those small papers, you just write your name. It was pen they were used to write your name on and tear for you as your voter ID. Now, from 92 up to now, all the exhibitions we do, less than 30%. And the interesting thing is that Ghanaians knew that their names will not be taken out from the register. So they hardly go to check. And then when they come for voting, they don't have any difficulty. But what we saw in 2023, this assembly election, that gave credence that this electoral commission should not be trusted, was that almost 26,000 Ghanaians' names were taken out. They couldn't vote in the assembly election. This EC knew of it and apologized and asked the regional officers to bring their names back.
So, Dr. Tanko, what is the way forward? We need to resolve this. I mean, the streets obviously cannot be the place to have it done. Will you take it to IPAC and let IPAC discuss it? And IPAC will pass a resolution or will advise the EC on what to do?
Selom, there's a simple way of resolving this matter. What stopped the Electoral Commission from allowing the forensic audit into the register? Charlotte did it. Charlotte also did it.
So without the forensic,
and I'm saying that,
without the forensic audit, the NDC will not take part in the election?
Which part? We are going to win this election. You saw us participate in the
so
ballot. And I'm saying that I have just given you an indication how to rig an election. And these people are playing the book to us. They are manipulating the register. So that when somebody says, I want to win by strategy, he's trying to manipulate the register with this fake data. You are removing almost 3,000 people's name from the register. So that on December 7, you are here, Salom. Maybe you didn't check your name, thinking that your name is in the register. They have removed your name. Our law says that if your name is not in the register, you cannot vote. You can be holding an ID card, even with a Quran or Bible, nobody will mind you. So long as your name doesn't appear in the register, you are not allowed to vote. Only somebody beat that in 2020, and we are still following there for investigation to give an investigative role. The communication director of MPP voted when his name was not in the register. EC told us at IPAC that they are still investigating and they will come out with a report. This IPAC that told us that they don't have figures. You remember when we met them, Jean Mensah and her commissioners told us that they are going to call their IT department to come and tell us the correct figures of the 2024 register. Do you know that they don't have figures? At our meeting, they don't have.
Very well. Let me take a break. I'll take a short break. I'll return, and Kingsley has been quietly listening. The NPP issued a statement. We'll hear from him on what the party says, and then we'll do some more things. Don't go away. You're welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM and ChannelOne television. We're looking at the matter of the EC, forensic audit or not, and the matters arising, balloting, etc. The NDC has laid out its points, saying that it's forensic audit they want and nothing else. They say they will not go to court, but they will try and get what they want. Kingsley said the MPP spoke about this. They say that should the EC conduct or listen to the NDC, they will also organize a demonstration against the EC. Interesting times. So Kingsley is here. Kingsley, for the governing party, forensic audit should be something they should welcome, because if the register is bad, it then means that it will affect everybody and it will affect the MPP as well. Why is the MPP not agreeing to go along with the NDC for a forensic audit or for an audit of the register to be conducted?
Thank you. I think, and I've said it here repeatedly, that anything that threatens the democracy and the rights of the people, their fundamental right and their constitutional right to vote or to stand for elections, is a threat to democracy. And so anything that threatens that is a concern to us. What we don't think is proper is the stampeding the process, i.e. visibly coercing the EC to do a bidding of a particular political party. I don't think that is right. I think if there are any errors and infractions, and you asked a very legitimate question, whether the particular persons who are affected have approached the EC for any perceived errors to be corrected, and the answer wasn't forthcoming. I think my brother was saying that the secretary quoted wrong laws and whatnot. I think where we talk about the exhibition is CI 91. All right, and CI 91 anticipates that after collating of data, there are bound to be errors. And the EC has not run away from that fact. I think because of that, there's an inherent mechanism in CI 91 that says that after that, there has to be an exhibition. And then any errors that come about, it must be brought to the attention of the EC, then he corrects it. I think that is the procedure, okay? And it's actually part of our law, it's a regulation 23. And so anything that needs, that seems to do away with this and propose another thing, I think we have a problem with that. When we saw certain infractions, when we're saying that persons in Ghana were also on the voters register in Togo, and we did the facial recognition and all that, we brought it to the fore. We brought it and said, these are our issues we've raised. When we saw that people have registered with a National Health Insurance card, that is the reason why, remember the Abu Ramadan versus, yes, where the Chief Justice said that if we don't take charge and bring ourselves within the provisions of Article 1(2) of the Constitution, where we're compelling him, giving a directive for which if the EC fails, then there are punishments that goes with that. Something will happen. So I think if our brothers at NDC finds something wrong, they should use the appropriate channels. I don't know why they are failing to use appropriate channels. Now they are saying that some are 300, some are 200, and the largest we found is 243,000. But because we have said it, that should end the matter. No, it says here in Regulation 23 that you should bring it to the EC for them to correct it. And I've said it, and I keep on saying it. After correcting it, if the EC does not make it public that these were the infractions we saw, it has been corrected, and we shouldn't just take their word that it's corrected and that's it. We want to see that's corrected. If at that stage there's no second exhibition, or the individuals whose names are affected are not given access to see that yes, it is true that it's been corrected, I have a problem with the EC. You see, because there are mistakes. You have admitted that there are mistakes. The access, the regulation, CR91, anticipated that after that there has to be an exhibition. After the exhibition, do the corrections. We want to know, have you done the corrections? At that stage, I will join them and say, no, we demand that we want to see the corrections. But before then, before you even giving your pieces of evidence to the EC, you hit the street. I can't support that. Then you are trying to stampede the EC, the process for the EC to do your bidding. It will be a very weak EC who accepts that. No,
but it's not transparency. It's not transparency. But did the NPP have issues during the exhibition? Did they spot any issues during the exhibition? And did you submit that to the EC, or for you the register is fine? I have not noticed, because I went to check mine. I mean, as a party. And yeah, but I'm saying that you see the regulation even enjoins individuals, because the danger is that the 200 and something you found here and whatnot collectively, they are colorless individuals. All right, they are colorless individuals. It could even be that of the 200 and something or 243,000, maybe 150 of them are even going to vote for MPP. You never know. You see, so when we are dealing with this, we deal with it as the individual's right, which potentially they will be disenfranchised. So they must be corrected. It is not that because probably some of them are found in a particular party stronghold, and therefore all of them are probably MPP or NDC. No, so let's deal with that. Concerns have been raised. These are grave. These are huge concerns. Yes. So I am saying that the EC, when it was true, the EC did not even deny it. And even the point, I wasn't in the room. The physical matter itself, the EC said yes. Because they say it's because they had said it earlier. So perhaps they had the opportunity to check, and that's why they said. And he mentioned a point about a gentleman in Tesano, or which moved to Ketu North. That means that the EC was reading from a different register from what they had. Well, that's what he's saying. Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. I don't know about what the EC is saying. But it is better when you go through the process rather than creating this, idea that someone is not for us. The person is a referee. If the person makes a mistake, point it out. We all support it. You see, as for eating the streets, you see, Dr. Bawumia is meeting people, marketplaces, and there's this, energy and vibe that is generating. NDC needed to do something. So they use this opportunity and then hit the streets. It's a good political strategy. It works. I see. NDC's Jama is nice. Their songs are nice. Everything about that. So if they use that to galvanize, you're laughing. It's true, isn't it? Even the Onapu, I play it over and over and over. It's dance up. It's nice. So if you're using this to galvanize your base, yeah, it's a good political strategy. But at the end of the day, you will still come back. You see? And then it will be interrogated. It's the fact that you are throwing some figures out there without proof, it doesn't work out well. And as I said, you see, in Ashanti North, my NDC friend was teasing me that NPP made buses available for
all those in the hinterlands who were going to vote. All right, so that they carried on. And he said in a particular one, all of them were NDC people, and we ferried them to the place to vote against us. Do you see how it works? So you imagine it was true. You cannot just take it for granted that some errors have occurred.
Yes,
some errors have occurred, and therefore it does not concern us. But use the appropriate channels. That's all we're saying.
I see.
Use the appropriate channel. That's
Great.
all we're saying.
Great. I need to move on, but Nano Forewusu, PPP national chairman, is joined us. I'll give him some 5 minutes to make his point. His party, his candidate, Siao, is being one of the guys. Samoa Siao.
Before you talk, note that 2016, I was your lawyer. I was part of your legal team.
Who were disqualified.
Myself and Gary Nimaku were part of your legal team.
Who were disqualified.
Yeah.
The same principles apply. So I'm happy that you are here.
Yes.
Thank you.
We were just about moving on, but you've come, so we'll give you some 5 minutes. You didn't fill the forms well, and for you who suffered this in 2016 or so, I mean, you should have done better.
Yeah, so they are saying.
And what reasons did the EC give you?
You know, this whole situation is laughable. The posturing of the EC then and now, 2016, hasn't changed as an institution. And they have not gotten it through their heads that they are here to support political parties and not be police and say, I gotcha. When the EC opened for us to file, the Progressive People's Party went and filed on a Friday. And when we went to file, if you recall, that day the news was that PPP is not part, that we have been disqualified from the get-go. And that was because of statements, unguarded, reckless statements made by the commissioner. Is it Tete?
That what did he say?
He says that we were late. And that the commissioner's taking notice. And that because of that, he is the returning officer, and that he will write a report to the EC, and they will not accept our documents. So,
but they did accept your document.
You see, the comic is a comic relief character. So we get there. So one of our executive directors is a lawyer, and so he spoke and he pointed out to them that go and look at your register, the booklet that you have put at the security gate for us to sign before we enter. We were there at 3:24, and we signed at 3:24. Our names are in your book. When we got here, you had gone to lunch. And you came back around 4:30. And we have been sitting in the reception from 3:24. 4:30, you came back. Other political parties were there. You called them. And then after you finished calling the last person, we heard that, oh, now that we have done for the day. Then we quickly rushed in there and said, but we are waiting in the reception room. And then you gave us this speech. Then when we alerted, drew your attention that we have been there from 3:24. Have you noticed that they have not said one thing about us not tendering our document on time? That was the first strike that we saw that these people, they had ill intentions. We submitted our document on Friday. Saturday, they called us that they have found errors. Now, my brother here, he knows what I'm talking about because he was part of the first case. They said they have found errors. And you know what they wrote? Listen, let me please read their letter to us, to you.
And you, the first or this one?
This one. And you will judge for your very self if what they are saying is the case. The EC says to us that we have reviewed your documents. Please, I've now found it. They say to us that they have reviewed our documents. Incomplete particulars of support. Pages 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 24, blah, 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 blah. But they never cite what was wrong with the document. You have cited the pages, but you have not cited the infraction.
So incomplete support.
Incomplete support is not an infraction. There's a lawyer sitting here. Incomplete support is not they just cited pages. And in the citing of the pages, they did not state what was wrong in those pages. So they gave us the booklet. We went back, we looked at the booklet, the pages. Everything was completely filled. We don't know what they were talking about. What infraction?
So you didn't make any corrections because you didn't know what to correct?
No, the only thing that we saw was about 4 things, and that had to do with, I have put the polling station number there, but the person did not remember the name of the polling station. But their polling station number and things and everything is there.
And did you quickly ask them or write back to them to say, what are the specifics?
No, so what we did was that, say you have written to us that there are infractions. So we looked at the documents and we saw those polling station names that we had to put in there. So we did the star something something, and we got the polling station names and put it in there. Then we resubmitted the document. This was Saturday that we picked it. We resubmitted it on Sunday at 12. That they asked us to bring it by 12. We were there. We resubmitted it. We made sure we signed the book again. We resubmitted it at 12 and gave it to them. From Sunday till Friday, which was yesterday, the Electoral Commission has gone incommunicado. Despite our text messages, our phone calls, our going to the place to try and get a response from them, because this is an ongoing process. Some of the parties went 3, 4, 5 times in doing their corrections and errors, because it is not in their place to throw you out because they have seen something. It is in their place to point it out
very well,
so that you can correct it. So we were there. Sunday, we tendered. Friday, woke up 6 a.m. and my friend Alasan Arariga had posted a letter from the Electoral Commission on his Facebook page that he has been called to do a balloting at 4 o'clock.
You guys hadn't been called? We
hadn't been called. So I started cross-checking. Some had received letters and some had not. So we quickly wrote a letter that morning and they stamped it and received it. And I have that.
So you complained to them that I've not been called?
That we have not been called. So
did they reply
you see their stamp?
Yes, I see it. Did they reply you?
So they replied. We wrote to them 10:43 or so in the morning. They stamped it. They replied WhatsApp message 1:16
that I've been disqualified.
That and please let me.
No, we are running out. So
okay. So then they gave some reasons, a general, very general reason that we have been disqualified. 4 p.m., G. Mensah holds a press conference and gives a different set of reasons why we have been disqualified. Different from the letter that they had written to us.
Very well.
So you see the process. We were not given due process. The same what the Otterem party, our fundamental rights were trampled on. We're not given the opportunity.
Would you write to the EC to correct their error in disqualifying you, or you go straight to court?
So we have done 2 things.
Okay.
Our lawyers are preparing the issue for court. This morning we have thought that okay, we will write a notice
to the EC.
And then spelling out all their issues, their contradictions, and thereof. And then we will, if they don't, we know we'll go to court on this one. It's an easy win. It's a shoe-in.
I see.
And
you have the benefit of experience.
And what is so?
And someone is sitting by you.
Yeah, you know what is so? Do you know what's so fascinating and bizarre? The same processes the EC did, the arrogance that was shown before.
It's the same thing you are seeing now.
Look, when they disqualified us and we say we need to tell you, we can easily talk about this, and so then they say after the fact they'll give you a hearing. Okay, they gave us a hearing. Okay, we don't agree. Go away. We are done.
I see.
And then we went to court, to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the land reversed the decision of the Electoral Commission. In fact, the High Court says that they have acted capriciously. They have used their powers capriciously.
Very well.
And these people, the same scenario.
The same scenario you say, and the same institution.
The same institution.
Do
you see that there's something wrong? Do you know what it is? There's a mindset that I am higher than you. I am somebody untouchable. They are always claiming their independence under the law. But you are a creature of the Constitution.
That's true.
How so independent are you?
That's
and this is the PPP arrogance
national
that
chairman.
they continue to hold.
We'll take a short break. So
it dovetails into the demonstration. You know, I went to the demonstration.
Yeah, he stated his point about how they feel as a party. So we make progress now. We spent quite.
So that was not progressive.
No, I mean what I mean is we progress the program. No, we progress the program. Not progress in terms of. Don't be litigious. Yes.
Doesn't know the name of my
party. PPP.
If you saw the video. She says we are people.
No, she made a few errors. Even Beramana had a name.
She made a few errors, but she's disqualifying people for errors. Listen to the irony. Listen to the irony. You are disqualifying people for errors.
We move to Galamsey.
But you cannot even pronounce the name.
We move to Galamsey. Your microphone is off.
I will tell you, it's not my person.
All right, so. We go to the Galamsey matter. We go to the Galamsey matter. Now there's been the renewed fight to end Galamsey and to ensure that water bodies regenerate and become better. In the continent of Esum in the eastern region has called on President Akufo-Addo to leave a lasting legacy by banning Galamsey and all forms of illegal mining and restructuring the sector before its term ends. Speaking to ChannelOne News, he expressed frustration over the extensive damage illegal mining has inflicted on the Esum community despite efforts to address the issue. Let's hear Fred Duo's report.
The youth of Esum in the eastern region expelled illegal miners from their community. It is alleged that the miners have returned, this time accompanied by military personnel, to intimidate and abuse the youth. The Kontihini of Esum revealed that the companies operating in the area lack the necessary or complete documentation to mine and have been extending their operations beyond the boundaries permitted for prospecting, causing severe environmental damage.
If you ask me how difficult it is, that is how difficult it is. You become an automatic enemy to all the people that I have listed, from the Minerals Commission to the police, to the chiefs who support it, to the people who are the ones who brought the Chinese people to be in the town. Your life is in danger. These people carry around guns and weapons as if we are at war. And no policeman stops them. If you are the lone person to fight, you will find a lot of stress, suffering, persecution, and all that. I thank the people of Esum, especially the youth, that they have seen the light and they are now leading in the fight against this. One of the reasons why I'm happy you are here today is because in going around to inspect whether the people are doing the mining or not, they came upon Madam Amina Tahiru, and she had soldiers who seemed to be doing her bidding. So as a matter of fact, they brutalized some of the youth, detained them, got them to sit even in the mud.
All right, you're welcome back. This is the big issue. We move to Galamsey, and my guest, Darrell Bosu, Deputy Director, Arocha Ghana, Franklin Kujo, President, Money Africa, Kingsley Amwakwaboedu, MPP Legal Team Directorate Member, Dr. Tanko Computer, Rashid, NDC Deputy Director, Elections and IT, and Nano Foriusu, PPP National Chairman, the Progressive People's Party. Of course, I'm saying it well. All right, so let me start off with Darrell. So Darrell, we've seen quite some activity, a lot of institutions, including yours, issuing statements calling for some sanity in the sector. It's been 3 weeks or so of that renewed effort. Have you seen anything changing? Are you seeing any signs of the situation becoming better in the next few weeks? In fact, the president has set up a 5-member committee, interministerial committee to help address the issues and all of that. We understand that the discussion between Labour and the Ministry of National Security, or that committee, was a good one, because the National Security Minister chairs that 5-member committee, and Labour has said at the end of the month, if nothing happens, they will strike. You know, we've seen some activity. Are you impressed with the activity we've seen so far, or you think we are marking time?
Good morning to you, and also good morning to members of the panel. I must say that we are not confident in any action being taken now regarding matters of Galamsey. I mean, I just watched your video, assume what is happening there right now. I'm telling you, just this morning, actually started yesterday, our team members in the field are getting serious complaints from another community in the eastern region called Kofi Pare, where a mining company has descended upon them, showing them documentation of license to mine. And because it's a large company, you would have expected that they would have had an environmental impact assessment, they would have engaged the communities and everything. And all the mining company is telling them is that, look, we have permission from your chief. There's nothing you can do to stop us. The people decide to go on demonstration, just like the people in Asium. And these guys seem to even have people who are armed and all of that. This is not an isolated case. And notwithstanding all the clarion call from civil society, from organized labor, professional bodies, we see that these activities are even escalating. For me, I have been very, very disappointed in the Deputy Minister and even the Ministry of Lands, that even in the midst of people calling out for a ban on illegal mining, that the next day or the very day, he went about commissioning or launching some new community mining schemes. Again, today we are told that there is a group being launched called Miners in Support of Bawumia. I mean, we have said, and the statement from civil society and organized labor has been very, very clear. We need to see that our political aspirants, people who are aspiring to take the high office of Ghana, have a commitment to end the illegalities that is perpetuating the impunities that we are seeing in Asium and Kofi Pare. So far, I don't see anything. The ad hoc committee has not come to solve any problem. It just went into a mode of discussion and talking. What we want to see is a state of emergency declared. This will not be the first time this state of emergency has been declared in any part of the world where mining is prevalent and is leading to loss and also future risks of health implications. So far, if you ask me, we have not seen any confidence in the government in terms of what they are rolling out to deal with it. Rather, what we are seeing is activities to rather glorify the illegalities, glorify the mining activity we are very much complaining about, and even sitting idle. Most of the communities are struggling to do Galamsey. Just listen to the chief from Asium. He's really struggling to get his people to deal with the illegalities. If you go to Sendu in the western region, close to Eziama, if you go to places like Banso and all those places, these are the situations that the communities are going, and there's no support from government in terms of the regulatory agencies or the enforcement agencies to come to the aid of communities. And this is the kind of impunity that we say that must end. But unfortunately, we've seen the statement come of almost every organized body in this country is rallying behind the action to stop Galamsey, but the state doesn't seem prepared and ready to act to deal with this, which is very, very unfortunate.
Many have said that the state of emergency you are calling for may be costly, and that it's better to find a way of stopping people from mining in river bodies or water bodies, and those who wash their finds in the water bodies, or those who mine along the river or the water bodies, so that those doing it in the hinterlands, you can leave them. That is a more nuanced and a more human-faced approach to resolving the issue than, you know, a state of emergency. That may be costly to the economy and costly in other things. What do you say to that?
So with such a position, you ask yourself how any action will prioritize an illegality now over future risks of health disease or loss of life. And I would say that when you look at the constitutional provision that's talking about institute or declaring state of emergency, it talks about actions that will protect the essentials of life. People are already dying. And is the government saying that the current impunity is so important that our lives doesn't matter? I mean, what is it about? What didn't we do? What haven't we already done? We did Operation Vanguard. What happened? It failed. There was Operation Hot. It failed. We even inaugurated what we call river guards, river vanguards, or whatever, river protectors, all of that. It failed. The people are so it means that we have no choice but to activate the next necessary step to ensure that we deal with this kind of impunity. And if you look at what options we have, the state of emergency in the localities where the mining is very prevalent and where the impunities is escalating will be much worse than we sitting idle and say it's going to be costly. I think it's rather an action of you not wanting to act on it, but rather giving excuses. And I think that's what we have seen so far. It started with the Minister of Land saying that it's far-reaching, it can't be done, and then also now we are hearing that it's expensive. These are just excuses rather than getting to the bottom of the issue and dealing with it. I think the government is just running away from dealing with the issue as it is and meeting and also listening to citizens, particularly in an era where this thing has gotten out of hand. And we need to see action now. I think these are just excuses and we shouldn't tolerate them.
Very well. Nana, let me come to you. We've not heard much of the PPP's plan to deal with Galamsey. We've heard a few things from the MPP and the NDC, and we've heard civil society. We've not really heard much from the PPP. What is PPP's position on the Galamsey menace? Of course, I know everybody condemns it, but how do we solve it?
You know, Galamsey is illegal, right? But so we are talking about small-scale mining.
The small-scale mining is
community mining.
Legitimate. So I think we need to change
but they
the
are
terminology.
The ones who are destroying.
Let me make this point. I think we need to change the terminology. We need to call it irresponsible mining.
Yes.
Because there are some small-scale miners who have license but irresponsibly mine. We understand a lot of them wash their finds in the river bodies, you know, or direct it into the river bodies, and that is irresponsible. They may have the license to mine, but they do it irresponsibly, and that's what is creating the problem.
What is happening now is state-sponsored terrorism.
How? Individuals mining.
You know, you've heard with blood diamonds, Sierra Leone, during the war, when they were mining diamonds to fund the war, and as a result, there was a boycott on buying blood diamonds around the world. Government is allowing this mining to take place, and it is government who are buying the gold to try and shore up their dollar reserves to be able to stabilize the city. Oh, if you've read many...
No, government can buy it from small-scale miners.
But Imani has made this statement.
No, but it's true. I mean, we know government is buying
so
gold
what
to
I'm
shore
saying
up the
is,
reserves.
then it's called blood gold, because you have given them license. They are destroying the environment. You are buying it. So therefore, you are funding the operation. Do you see why it's not easy to stop? And why civil society is asking for the ban? Because the cycle in which we are in is state-sponsored, it's government-sponsored. And once government is buying blood gold, how do you stop it? How do you stop it when government is buying and funding blood gold? And government that has the power to be able to make sure that reclamation takes place, environmental friendly policies take place. You know, recently I was watching a parliamentary subcommittee stuff, and do you know that the ministry and mines and land and the name confusing. They went and bought boats, 5-speed boats, what? To
patrolling the
patrolling. And what has happened to it? What has been the effect of spending millions of dollars to purchase all these things, put a scheme together? Are you saying that when they go on the water bodies, they are not seeing what is happening that you and I see every day, that the media is reporting to us? So there is a government real aspect to this. That is why civil society is asking for the ban. Because you must ban and restructure. I am all for the gold Ghanaians making money from the gold and not foreigners. I am all for that. But you must right now take a breather, take a space, and let us put in the proper processes to allow it to take place for Ghanaians in a way that we don't destroy our own environment. Water, look at the signs that are coming from the fact that water, drinking water is now they have to use so much chemical and try to clean it up. And then because diversion of water bodies in their mining, they are destroying the water. And water is life. So if society is coming out and saying, look, stop. I hope that we're not going to hear legalese and that structures and all of these things because, you see,
why is he preempting what I want to say?
Oh, I haven't mentioned you.
You said you hope and your hand was here.
No. I said I hope I don't hear legalese. Because every time we talk about issues, people want to box it and confine it to some process. The people are rising up and saying that enough is enough.
But the same people who are in the communities doing it.
It's not because you have allowed them. That's what I'm saying. Government is blood gold. Government is buying the gold from them to shore up their dollar reserves. Or else right now it would have been about 25, 30 to 1. And because government is participating in this horrible, wicked process that is destroying today's lives and future lives, government is at the center. So that is why the call from civil society is telling you, hold it. I believe that gold, Ghanaians should benefit from the gold. I believe that 110%. But the process where we are now, where we have arrived, in terms of the damage to the environment, in terms of people entering the forests, in terms of the mining that is taking place and all of those things, we need to take a chill pill. We need to halt. We need to allow the environment to breathe. We need to put in proper structures and procedures in a way that the people don't destroy. So the same community must be part of the reclamation. And the education must go on in order for us to be able to survive this. Because what is happening now, my brother, is government-sponsored terrorism.
I see.
And the blood, this is blood gold. Just like blood diamonds from Sierra Leone, we are in the era of blood gold. And until people understand that dynamic and the factor of government's participation in this thing, you will never understand it. That is why I support civil society's call to say, hold it, and let's be reflective, let the environment breathe, and let's put in processes and modalities to move forward.
Kingsley, I mean, he seems to think, Nana seems to think that this is, I mean, you have government at the center of it. He said it's a government-sponsored terrorism, cause it blood gold and all of the reasons he gives for that. The concern is that ad hoc committee and all of those things are just buying time, and that government has no real plan of resolving this issue. What do you say?
I will disagree with him, and in disagreeing with him, I would say that this has become a national issue, not a partisan issue, a national issue, and we must approach it in that same vein, because if we do the partisan thing, we lose out, because it becomes your worst is your bad was worse than my bad, and that's not how we will nip this in the bud. And then again, he talked about several attempts that we took all right? And then these are all command and control approaches to it. Command and control approaches is face ahead on. And I would say there are times you have to do that, but you have to mix it with the other approaches to it. And that is what the government is seeking to do. I am saddened whenever I walk through, whenever I drive through Cape Coast, Takrady, and I see the river meeting the sea. It's bad. I mean, no one can sit anywhere and talk about the fact that attempts at solving this is not meeting head-on challenges. Because of that, we cannot just say ban. You cannot ban an illegality. If it's illegal, it's illegal. Why are you banning an illegality? So it's a matter of enforcement.
So government has failed at enforcing the laws then?
There's an enforcement issue. There's no, I mean, there's no denial. Let's not pussyfoot around this. There's an enforcement issue.
So what can we do? Because the laws are there.
But that is the issue. Then what can we do? We have to think around, because every
local... We've been thinking for 8 years.
No, we haven't been thinking for 8 years. We've been acting for 8 years. We have been acting for 8 years.
We banned it and we thought through, brought Galam Stop, brought Vanguard, brought all of those things.
So if you bring something and it doesn't work, you have to think of other ways of doing it. And the only way of doing it is long term. That's the only way you solve it, is long term. All right? Remember that before 1989, the fact that if someone will engage in small scale mining was even an illegality until NDC law 217, 218, 219 were passed to legalize it, because the people will not stop. I've sat in courts in the 80s in Takwa where someone was given 10 years. His brother went to the place the next day. So this is people who are resilient and say that this is our only means of survival, our only means of making a way out of this. You remember that cocoa farmer who has cut down his cocoa farm and mined in that area, and say that because of that he's built a house. How do you approach this? You have the command and control approaches, and you also have the re-education and a lot of things that needs to be done, which has been proposed in our manifesto and which are being done. You cannot say that because PNDC law 236, for instance, banned drug trade, so then because of that everyone stopped trafficking drugs. No, people still engage you, you catch them, you punish them. We have, at the bar conference, the AG talked about the number of people who have been convicted, the number of matters in court. We don't come here and publish the numbers and say because of that the problem is solved. The problem being solved is the water being clean. And that's a long, tall order that all of us will have to put our
If you stop everything in for 1 month, you see a drastic change in the water levels.
I don't believe so.
I
don't believe so. What the proposals that are being made, the ones that talks about small scale mining is legal. All right. It becomes illegal when those who have a license, and he talks about a lot of licenses being given. I think that's a positive. Because once a license is given to someone, now you can regulate the person. It is those who do not have license, you don't even know where they are hiding and doing things. That is a problem. So the more we license them, the more the people have brought themselves into the fold of regulatory ambit. Now, if you're able to... You're not allowing me to land. You're not allowing me to land. If you're able to bring them into the fold, then we can regulate them. The ones that are not being regulated, we have to go after them. I am for, here and now, getting probably the security agencies to police all the riverbanks. Because there's no way anyone can say that a license was given for some Xingfang to be placed on the riverbanks or the streams. That I am for, all right? But we have to think holistically and apply. The more you apply, the more they are finding ways of subverting it. The more we also find ways of subverting it. Make sure they are bringing it to the fold, okay? So it is an existential challenge. No one can run away from that fact. Let's not politicize it. It is gone beyond that. It's a national issue which demands everyone coming on board to solve this. But we cannot say that we haven't done anything. No, there are some other things that have been there. The fact that no, it requires. It requires everyone. There's a whole.
Why?
There's a whole.
It seems like you are saying that PPP.
There's a whole.
You are saying that PPP should come and help solve the problem.
It's at your doorstep.
That is what I'm saying.
That is
what I'm saying.
So what can you do about that enforcement?
So then the enforcement must be. I have said that as at now, at least the river bodies there must be security agencies there dealing with that. But we cannot say that we cannot. No, how can you revoke? The person has been given a license. The person, no, I disagree with you on that. I disagree with you that. You see, that's why I was explaining that you interrupted. The person applies. There are modalities within which he has to fulfill. He has applied. He's fulfilled. He's been given a license. You're also doing it again. Let me land. Okay, quickly. Now, if the person minds within the remit, the confines of what is being given, it is not illegal. If the person which has been given a license goes beyond that, it becomes illegal. You have to deal with that. That's enforcement. That, if you are laying on the current government, I accept that. Now, if the person does not even have a license, clearly that's illegal. Very illegal. So if you don't look at this and we ban it completely, you have not solved the problem.
How about allowing mining in forest reserves with the LI?
Yes, so that's a different topic.
So people say that,
that's a different topic.
Find a way of.
Yes, if it has to be revoked, it has to be revoked.
Will you support that?
But for the water bodies, all right.
And a lot of these rivers take their source from those forests.
Yes, but for the water bodies, what is polluting the water bodies may not necessarily be mining in those forest reserves. It may not necessarily be so.
What would it be?
So, if we are able to think of and come up with what is causing the pollution, that is the proper thing to do.
Very well.
All right? But not to say, you see, it's a knee-jerk reaction which has not yielded. The first Galam stop that was issued. You were sitting here saying that it didn't yield the necessary result. Why do you repeat the same thing which is not going to yield the result?
Very well. Rashid, you say that you will ban mining activities new mining activities in forest reserves, etc., quoting your manifesto, etc. What is the NDC's approach in resolving this? Of course, we have heard everybody talking about how to prevent it, but the problem is there. How do we deal with it presently?
Salon, we can only deal with this mining, this Galamsey business when we kick out MPP from this country.
Oh.
Terribly. Look, last week I was in Amenfi
Or
Central.
from government?
No, from government. I mean, we'll just take them out from it. Because their continuous stay in government is a threat to our own health. Seriously. Because
you're inviting me into the politics.
The truth of the matter is that I was at Amenfi Central. I went to the Amenfi zones. I had to do some exercise. What I saw over there, these people, you can easily describe them as confident tricksters. They are just tricking Ghanaians, saying that they are fighting Galamsey. They are not doing anything. They are neck deep in the Galamsey business. The government, the DCs, the MMDCs, the ministers and their party hierarchies, they are all neck deep in Galamsey. They cannot fight it.
How do we resolve it? If
the only resolution first,
MPP is kicked
the
out,
NDC is coming
what would the NDC do?
It's all our manifesto. First, this LI thing they are talking of, that's the first thing we are going to repeal. It has to go. Why do you have to give this license to people to go and mine in forest reserves? Why? What was the purpose?
NDC says we will place a ban on new mining activities so the present ones can continue.
I'm saying that thing will be removed because we are not even going to grant any license to anybody to go near that place. That's one. Critical. We are going to take it up seriously. And that is why we said we are going to make sure that these Galamsey areas, community mining, when you put them into cooperatives and train them and well coordinated, they won't go and be doing this kind of thing that they are doing. Why is the Attorney General talking of what? Arresting people. Do you know the kind of people they are arresting? It's the young guys.
But they are the ones.
The big shots. Those who are funding them. Why are they sitting in Accra enjoying themselves?
But if we find them, we'll arrest them.
Why haven't they gone to arrest them?
Because we've not found them.
They are there. They know them. Which people excavated did they retrieve? Are you aware of the 500 excavators? Up to now, we can't trace them. People were talking of guinea fowls flying. When has excavator got wings to fly? This country, excavators flew. Nobody could trace them. Some excavators were bent. That's why I say this government, they are bereft with ideas.
I see.
You burn excavators, and now you're going to use our hard-earned currencies to go and buy equipment.
Drip equipment. So they should have given excavators.
That's what I'm saying. You see, they are bereft with ideas. I mean, who gave them those? You burn excavators in the field. They will not turn around.
So you seize them and give it to the
and they are saying that, yes, that is why we are saying that even under, I was happy you mentioned about the PNDC era. In our time, when we're in government, military government, who bondo? You can't misbehave like that. That kind of thing, get away.
But Galamsey didn't start.
I'm saying yes, but that time
Galamsey started long ago.
It was at that time under the military regime. It was properly regulated, and people knew what they were about. You remember the Abansika Yendinekwa? That time. Well, when we came into democracy in 1992, yes, there was semblance of it, but Rawlings and his team managed the process very well. In such a way, our water bodies were not destroyed. And even under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he short stay in government.
We saw drones, etc., but they didn't yield any results.
That is why we are saying that we're going to implement an AI mechanism in fighting Galamsey.
AI for what?
Yes,
How?
artificial intelligence.
How will
of course, we are going to use it, where it can easily track down those who are into deep forests or who do this kind of thing. You can use AI intelligence to track all their movement and all that. But what worries me is, if you take from Accra to these forest areas, especially the Amenfi area, I'll use an example. There are several barriers. Several barriers that you cross. And you get to those areas, you have military posts, you have police posts all over. Yet Galamsey is going on. How did those huge equipment pass to those areas? And you say that you sit in Accra here and tell us that you are fighting Galamsey. This is hypocrisy. They are not doing anything about it because they are enjoying it.
Great. Let me talk to Franklin. Franklin, you have some 2 minutes to make a submission. We've been speaking about this every week.
Yeah.
But we don't really see any progress.
You know, when Nana spoke about the rogue state, I'm inclined to actually not just believe him, but actually endorse what he just said. Look, it has become increasingly clear. And the other day, ESA boss, but she did make a statement that if you look at the gold receipts that the BOG, Bank of Ghana, reports, it's huge. I mean, you'd have thought that when you burn mining, you actually get more gold than normal, to the extent that we got about 5.something billion US, which on the fiscal side of things makes sense because you want to use the gold to support your currency so that it doesn't run away from the other currencies, really. So it makes sense. Unfortunately, you see, we've not been responsible enough to have a careful balance between what I call the ecological and the environmental economics and maybe the free market type of thinking that you want to benefit from resources. And that's what Darrell is talking about. We've completely abandoned the whole idea of preserving the forests or preserving our mineral resources, or having a delicate balance between use of these resources and then as it is cleaning up. If the state wants to benefit from mining, which it definitely has to, why don't you just do the commonsensical thing of ensuring that people clean? I think it's rogue enough to actually allow this to go on. And the other day, someone was telling me that, a government official was telling me, had it not been done, the dollar would probably be, the cedi would have been about 25 cedis to the dollar. And so I totally believe that it is true, but that's how irresponsible the state has become. This whole fight is really irresponsible to the extent that I think Ibrahim Hussein describes it as, you are an alcoholic, and you go to the doctor and tell the doctor, well, doctor, I've been an alcoholic for a very long time. Treat me. The doctor says, well, stop drinking alcohol. You tell the doctor, no, I can't stop. Give me another medical officer who advised me to take it in beats and thoughts. That's how the whole thing is being approached, and I don't think it's helping us at all. Okay. I am surprised to hear that the state cannot, for just some small time, probably a month, declare an emergency and make sure that at least we identify those culprits and then allow the legal ones to continue. The challenge though is that the legal and illegal ones are doing the same thing. They are destroying the environment, and it is at our expense. I think the state has abdicated this rule, and the president obviously is falling on his own dagger, claiming that he wants to put his presidency on the line.
Great.
I think it's a joke what is being done, really. It's a terrible joke.
Very well. Darrell, I'll give you the final words in this in the next minute or two. Yes, so you've heard everything. Any hope? You said no confidence. What do we do? Apart from banning or state of emergency?
You know, I have to reiterate that we have no option now for government to listen to organized labor and civil society. The demands are very clear. Declare a state of emergency, get all mining activities in our forest reserves and in rivers and 100-meter buffer of these areas off. Stop all mining activities in these areas. If we do that, then it gives us some window of opportunity to correct the mess. What is happening should not happen at all. It's just the state refusing to be innovative and to prioritize the lives of Ghanaians. And this is where I think that we need to do better. We seriously need to go back to the table and do better. So far, we're just joking. And it's unfortunate that we've been working at this for 8 years and we've not been very decisive with it. And it's always been ad hoc, as has been the case. I think we need to move forward and the government must do better. I'm not going to put the blame on anybody. I think the government today, they are the ones who need to act. I am not expecting the NDC or whoever, PPP or whoever. We need the government today to act on behalf of Ghanaians. They are the ones who have resources at their disposal. This is an opportunity for them to show that they really care about Ghanaians.
Very well. Thank you so much, Daryl Bosu, Deputy Director, Arocha, Ghana. You also heard Franklin Kudjo, President, Money Africa, Kingsley Mwakwabu, the MPP Legal Team Directorate member, and Dr. Tanko Rashid, Computer, NDC, Deputy Director of Elections and IT, and of course, Nano Forewusu, who is the National Chairman of the Progressive People's Party. My name is Selom Adonu. Thanks so much for doing the viewing and the listening. Catch you same time next week for another exciting edition of The Big Issue. Have a good afternoon.